Live? Are we live? It looks like we're live. It looks like we are live. Start with other streams. Yeah, there we go. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? You know, I gotta send the tweet out. Got to send the tweet out. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's get these people up in here. Can't wait till I get to that point where I already have people waiting to come on through. I know Glasgow gonna come through. You know, I know Scrubs is gonna come through. Yeah, I sent the tweet out. Gotta send the one I sent the kick to. And yo, I gotta figure out. I gotta figure out how to like send the link for the live before it even comes out, so people can start coming through. So having that upcoming thing. But while you guys are coming up in here, I want to tell you guys about, just my day so far. I just finished doing an interview with my man Lade. Lade is a street fashion, vintage street fashion historian, collector, archivist, and it was a super dope conversation. We talked for about 3.5 hours, just about the history of street fashion, and I learned a lot. And one of the things, as a New Yorker that I was shocked by. I'm over here just talking to y'all. I don't even got my microphone. That's how you know I'm just chatting at this point. But I was saying that I had a conversation with my guy Lade. He's a street fashion historian, and one of the things that I learned was Timberlands are not originally, as far as street fashion is concerned, the trend is not from New York City. As a New Yorker who has worn Timbs every year of his life for the past 35 years, that was shocking to find out. It originally actually comes from, according to Lade and these people, the residents of this district, it comes from DC. That was very interesting to find out. And then, if that wasn't enough, apparently Air Force Ones are not popularized or originally worn in New York City either. That bugged me out. Apparently, the city of origin is actually Baltimore. And we can actually go to Lade's page. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to Lade. For real. I really do appreciate, him coming through and all of that. You know what I mean? And let's see. We can go to, is it like Platinum Lade, I think it's called. You can go to his page. Oh, wait. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. I'm coming in clear through the mic. Or is it Lade Platinum? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on through. So yeah, I was talking to Lade, man, and he has a deep knowledge. So we have it looks like it's still going, but it's not. It's over. But we had a nice conversation. We talked for a few hours. He's recently famously had one of his Coogee pieces from his archive be featured in the movie Sinners. You know, so this was fire. This was a real dope conversation. So, like I said, he told me that Air Forces or Uptowns, they were named Uptowns for New York, but when it comes down to the origin of the city and where it actually comes from, as far as street fashion is concerned, it comes from Baltimore. Blew my mind. Blew my mind to learn that, especially as a New Yorker. You dig what I'm saying? So hopefully that car noise is not so loud coming through the speaker. But yeah, yo. So I wanted to get back to um I wanted to get back to the communism video. I did. Let's see. But the reason why is because I don't think people really understand just how influential this ideology has been and how much it's persisted over the decades, fam. Like it's when you now have your entire race or your entire demographic blindly voting for one party for all of these decades, when you have now created a synonymous nature between conservatism and oppression or racism, you have gone too far off the demographic reservation, so to speak, to think that we are only one thing. And I find it so funny because these are the same people that say things like black people are not a monolith, black people are not monolithic. And it's super true. It's 100% true, but it seems like those same people say that and they don't accept that there is a wide array of black American thought. And when it comes down to, I think the issue, it's become dichotomous. It becomes, polarized to the point that now, if you want to be considered authentically or unapologetically black, you automatically have to be left leaning. You automatically have to, be somebody who votes Democrat, who doesn't like Republicans, who doesn't like conservatism and stuff like that. Like, this has now become synonymous with black American culture. And I think that's a problem. I think that's a huge problem. I don't think that's a small problem at all. When now black people who are naturally conservative, black people who are for private ownership, who are for liberty, freedoms, and all of these other things, and not having the government be this overreaching, all knowing, all seeing, all doing entity, you have now become less than in the face of the black American zeitgeist, the black American ethos. Now all of a sudden you're an Uncle Tom. Now all of a sudden you're a traitor. Now all of a sudden you're anti-black and you're internalizing white supremacy and all of these things. And that's, I don't like to say things are dangerous or whatever because I'm not a coward at the end of the day. But these things are dangerous. These are not things that you want to have associated with your race so monolithically. I accept that there are left-leaning black Americans. I accept that there are black Americans who economically, politically, culturally, socially, we are not going to get along. I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm fine with that because, I'm fine with that as long as they're not harming themselves or others with their lifestyle, their choices, their behaviors. Likewise, people who are more on my side or think closer to the way I think. I think that that's not an issue. I don't think that we all need to believe or, do all one thing. But I do believe in finding your tribe. And I do believe in understanding. And so I can understand why you may be a left leaning person. I have family members who are, politically active in local politics, and they are Democrats. I don't begrudge them because of that. Some of it is political strategy. Some of it is ideology. Some of it is culture. Some of it is just the way they view the world. I get that. My entire reason for even having an issue with certain people who may not think like me is when their rhetoric or the things that they believe are now going to be a danger to me, themselves, the community at large, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why when it's time for me to have my agreements and disagreements with people, I keep it as objective as possible. I agree. I say this, I've been saying this now for several streams, that I agree with the Black Panther Party's programs. They had dozens of them that were a direct help to the communities that they were established in. People didn't really have anything bad to say. The people that were benefiting from these programs were not complaining about the Black Panther Party. Their children were able to eat breakfast. They had a paramedic. You feel me? And they definitely influenced a lot when it comes to America overall, because now schools have breakfast because of the Black Panther Party. You dig what I'm saying? So even when we're talking about certain things that were adopted by the American zeitgeist overall, where I'm going to disagree with them is the politics. I'm going to disagree with socialism as, to be implemented or used by the entire country. I'm going to be against communism as an economic and political model for the American populace. Like, we're not going to see eye to eye on that. However, I'm not going to throw out the cultural, economic, social, and a political, well, yes, even political baby out with the bathwater, because there are going to be things that we do agree upon. Now, if you are hell bent on not wanting to associate with people who think differently than you, you're hell bent on not associating or understanding why somebody who don't think like you would think like that. If you're hell bent on being this stubborn type of person, then yeah, it would make the most sense to stay away from people that don't think like you. But I also want you to understand, you can't have that type of differentiation and disassociation from your people and then also want to speak on a prescription for the populace. If you are so fringe, if you are so outside of what Black Americans naturally are, willing to do or susceptible to do, then yeah, 100%, you're going to have to stay fringe. You're going to have to stay on your side of whatever it is. I don't care if it's you, an extreme right Black American person who wants to, have the government dictate certain behaviors and all this other stuff. Like, anytime that your ideology becomes so extreme that you want government intervention, you and I are never going to see eye to eye. Because I believe in liberty. I believe in freedoms. I believe in my own God-given rights to live the way I want to live and not impose that on anybody else. But to find people who are willing to, live like me and create my community. So if you're one of those, super fringe people or super extreme people, I'm not saying that you shouldn't exist. I would, have you try to do some self-examination on why you think certain things, expose yourself to different types of thought, but if you are hell-bent on not doing anything like that, then you have to stay over there. Still find your still find your tribe or whatever. If there's people who also think like you, fine. But I wouldn't want you to be in, any of any, significant influence over a populace of, 50 million people. It just doesn't make any sense. So, if the Black Panther Party were willing to, be open to a mixed economic model to where we will infuse some capitalism, but also keep the social programs that you've created intact via the capitalism, via the pursuit of profit. I think that there could have been a middle ground. And I'm only speaking upon the tumultuous relationship inside of Black America. COINTELPRO and all of the external things, I'm against that, obviously. Again, against government overreach. So I definitely wouldn't want an entire counterintelligence program surveilling and spying on my community. That's insane. But, when it comes down to the political, differences and stuff like that, I just feel like we could have come to a common ground as Black Americans, because there were plenty of Black Americans who were not revolutionaries. And this is the whole point of, understanding the full scope of what your history is. That's the reason why I do what I do. It has become now, like I said, none of your conservative Black American history is being told. None of your Black American entrepreneurial, capitalistic history is being told. None of it. All of your history is now become left-leaning, liberal, damn near Marxist, Leninist, communist thought being attributed to the entire demographic of Black Americans. And that just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any logical sense that all of Black America thinks one thing or believes one thing politically and culturally. That's just not how things go. And that's also why I, believe episode 5. And at this point, because I mention it so much, I know episode 5 has become like this legend, this phantom or whatever. But it's really a great episode. And it just speaks on all of those differences. We have to get away from the same stories over and over again, because now your history is no longer history. Your history has now become indoctrination. Your history has now been, used as a tool to subvert you, to circumvent you, to demoralize you, to have you, paralyzed in fear based upon all of the things that they want you to know about your past and your ancestors' lives and the things that they went through. And one of the things that I let everybody know when it comes to my scholarship and when it comes to my studying, understand that the bulk, I would say 90%, if not more, of the information that I get are from ancestral Black Americans, historic Black Americans who were here, who wrote books, who created publications, and were able to document exactly what was going on from the Black American perspective, from the Black American lens, to let everybody know in their contemporaries, as far as, the people that were alive with them, and also for the future. There are not so many authors that you're going to read about historically, as far as Black America goes, that didn't have some type of reference to the future when it comes to their literature. Their preface will say, hey, for the generation under me, or for the children, or, they'll speak to the future in some way in their books to let them, like, they wrote these books for the future, especially if the books were catered to or surrounded by the education of the children. Like, I wrote this book not only to, educate my contemporary adults and stuff like that, but also I'm focusing on the youth. There are, different prefaces that you'll read in these books that will say, the study of Black American history, the reason why I'm creating this book is because, one, when it comes to, other races, white Americans at this point, because, it was other races in America, but for the most part, the two predominant races in America were white and Black. So these Black teachers, these Black educators, these Black scholars wrote these books. In the preface of them were saying, like, whether by, malicious intent or just by omittance or whatever, our history is not being told. And these men and women were saying this in the 19th century. They understood that, hey, we need to write these books to educate the children on their history, to educate the children on their possibilities, their capabilities, and the abilities that they presently have based upon the people that came before them. That's the entire point of the study of history, is to enlighten you on what was going on previously before you got here, what they were doing, how it helped, how it didn't help. You look at the pros and cons of the behaviors that were exhibited and then choose, hopefully, the pros that you would build upon in your time. And then you do your part in documenting it and showing the future generations. And then this now becomes a lineage of information that doesn't get lost, that always is upheld based upon the people that are writing them. These are successful people. These are people who care about their community. They care about their families. They care about the next generation. So they're going to take the time out to document these things for their benefit. If that spirit alone is kept alive through industriousness, through entrepreneurship, through commercial and professional life, the children are now being reaffirmed by doctors, lawyers, educators, craftsmen, carpenters, blacksmiths, you name it. They're being reaffirmed, their abilities as children, from people who are currently or have done the things that they may want to get into. When it came down to the way teachers in black schools in the 19th century taught their kids, what they would do is they would surround their curriculum around black people who did that thing in that field. So if it was science, they would speak in reference to and cite black scientists in their experiments, the things that they accomplished through science, et cetera, et cetera. If it was agriculture, they would do the same thing with like George Washington Carver or something like that, to be able to reaffirm to the children that not only is this a science, but your people, your lineage, your ancestors, your elders were proficient in this field. And so when people talk about how representation is supposed to matter and all of that other stuff, I get it. But now it's been reduced to consumerism. It hasn't been uplifted and upheld in the same ways as before. I told you guys about the Brown versus Board decision and how that negatively affected Black American educators, teachers, administrators, and black schools overall. And how black teachers at this time, before Brown versus Board, were literal pillars in their community. They were literally in charge of educating the next generation, and they took great pride in that. And the best way to take great pride in that is to be able to show the children how people in her or generations before her were able to accomplish particular things that are being studied currently. Agriculture is always going to be a study in this country forever. Carpentry and building and all of that, the trade work is always going to be a part of American culture. So it behooves these educators to show them not only the fact that these are black instructors showing them this stuff, but we have instances where a black man built this. Benjamin Banneker, right? He created the first clock for America. Every watchmaker, clockmaker, or mechanical engineer student that's black will be able to hold reverence for that innovation and invention for American history. And then it inspires them to be able to say, hey, I can do the same thing, if not better than Benjamin Banneker, because he lived 100 years before I did. So we needed to keep that strong chain, and that's what was going down in the black schools before they were, disintegrated and then forced to integrate into the white schools, who just by being objective are going to focus on their history. They're going to tell little white children about Thomas Edison. They're going to tell them about all of the business magnates that are, that are popular or have been successful. They're going to tell you about the U.S. Steel Corporation. They're going to tell you about DuPont, and they're going to tell you about all of these, different businesses and stuff like that to inspire young white children or young children in the classroom. And it's not that you can't get the same inspiration or similar inspiration as a black child learning about, General Mills or something like that, or Kellogg, and wanting to create your own cereal company, you can do that. But if we do have black American options or black American figures in this same field, it does resonate more with the black child to see a black scientist, a black doctor, a black lawyer, a black carpenter, a black sculptor, whatever it is. It behooves them to want to emulate that because they already see themselves in the figures that they're learning about. And that's the entire point of the study of history, or invoking history in your lessons. When your history is being told to you and your initial visceral response is to feel bad, is to be demoralized, or to come away from those stories thinking less of yourself and your ancestors, you were just sabotaged. You were not educated. You were not informed. Because there is not a single era, not one, of black American history where black people weren't succeeding at something, where black people weren't innovating, where black people weren't building, where black people weren't being industrious. If you think of the 18th, 17th, 19th century black American and you only think of a slave, you have been sabotaged. If you think back to the 19th century and all you think about are the black codes and none of the things that black Americans built, innovated, contributed to, you have been sabotaged. If you think about the 20th century, the early 20th century, and you can only think about Jim Crow, you can only think about lynchings, you can only think about German shepherds attacking your people, you have not been educated on your history. You've been sabotaged. That's a fact. There is absolutely no realm of possibility where you're only supposed to know about the hell your ancestors went through and nothing else. And then whenever they do give you a little bit of crumb of an accomplishment or an achievement, it's couched by white racism or oppression in the story. So they'll tell you about the Montgomery bus boycott, right? Because it's facing off with systemic racism. So now that's where you get your pride from. And then the most entertaining, and I'm going to use that word intentionally, the most entertaining part of your history is the revolution, is the black liberation movements of the mid to late 60s. Your Black Panthers, right? Your revolutionary groups, where they were kicking shit up all throughout the country, fighting the power and all of that. That's the most entertaining part of our history. One of the more tumultuous times, but it was more entertaining because you get to see revolutionaries and cops facing off, having shootouts, having fights. You see all of the mass protests. You see all of the things that get the heart going, to get the blood going. It excites you. You're like, hell yeah. It gives you that sense of excitement based upon the way they present it to you. It's war going on outside. And as we've seen with all of the war movies that we have created, from Saving Private Ryan to Hurt Locker to whatever it is, people love a good war story. People love a good warrior story. 300, you name it. There are going to be these times in remembering something throughout history where you're going to have a war crystallizing a particular era. You know, we've done it, World War I, World War II, but specifically when it comes to Black America and our specific history, it's that moment. 1965 to like 1975, that era where it was just, blood in the streets, resistance, revolution. Like, these people really wanted to usher in a socialist regime. They really wanted to usher in a communistic regime. They believed even up against all of the odds, we can actually make this happen in our lifetime or the next. The next generation will pick up the mantle after we die. And understand this, one of the early tenets, especially when they started to get more and more, radicalized and, getting deeper and deeper into their revolutionary bag, the thought or the concept of death was readily accepted. Readily accepted. Things like saying things like dying for the people, dying for the cause. If you're not willing to struggle, if you're not willing to go through war, like they let you know, if you are not willing to fight and die, then you are not worthy of the things that you say that you want. It was very, 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 very understanding and empathetic to the fact that, some of us may die. We are fighting up against an entire government. We're trying to overthrow the government, and some of us are going to die. And as we know, some of them did die, unfortunately. But I do not think it's fair to the generations that came after them to only be told this type of Black American history, to where you walk away from your Black American history classes thinking that everybody was left-leaning, that everybody was liberal, that everybody was on the same type of time, that everybody agreed with Martin Luther King, that everybody agreed when they came up with the Black Panther Party. They don't let you know about any of the anti-communist Black Americans. They write those guys off as Uncle Toms. They don't tell you about the conservative Black Americans because they call them greedy capitalists and things like that. They write all of these people off despite all the things that they were able to accomplish on their end, socially, economically, culturally, and politically. They were able to make bigger waves. Well, I won't even say bigger waves, but more sustaining waves. See, when it comes to revolution, the destructive revolution that they were talking about, where they literally wanted to destroy the current system and to be able to usher in something new. When it comes to that, the long-lasting effects of that are more negative than positive. So you'll have immediately destruction. You have immediately bloodshed and all this other stuff. So the payoff when it comes to this stuff, the immediate payoff is warfare. And it's easy to say, I'm down for the warfare or let warfare happen when you don't think you're going to actually be the one going to war. And the ones who are actually willing to, pick up their rifles or pick up their weapons to be able to go to war, those people are the first to die. The bravest people are the first to die when it comes to these revolutions. And then you have the next batch of people who are not as brave, but hey, they in the cause. They down for the cause. And they get subverted, they get infiltrated. They have all of these things happening. So you have these different tiers of destruction. And the payoff for the people is that once all of this bloodshed is done, once all of the smoke settles, we'll be able to usher in this new regime. And this new regime is going to take care of all of the problems that the last regime brought and the subsequent destruction that came about as a result of the war. That's a hefty promise to make, especially when you understand the timeline of all of this. So these, capitalist, conservative Black Americans who own businesses and employ dozens, hundreds, and thousands of people were like, come work for me. Learn to do what I just did. Read this book. Understand the nature of business, understand the nature of community building, understand the nature of town building and all these other industrious things. And these are the results of that. You'll be gainfully employed, or you'll be able to gainfully employ others. You'll have a place of refuge that you'll be able to stay, and you've built it with your own hands while using and helping your fellow man. All of these are the quote unquote fallout to this side of the Black American zeitgeist and the Black American historical record, and you will interface with racism. You'll interface with being locked out of certain places, and all of that. There are cons to this, but to think that you need to usher in an entire revolution, fight, die, fight, kill, and die, you feel me, for this cause. So that's however many untold amounts of people dying. And then hopefully this new regime is going to help everybody. Hopefully, socialism in America is going to help. Hopefully communism in America is going to help people. Even though it hasn't helped many people, or any people for that matter, for real, in other countries. But hopefully this does, bring about some positive change. You are asking the people for a lot. You're asking them for a lot. And all most people want to do is be able to take care of their families. That's what most people want to do. They do not want to go head to head with their government on some warfare shit. Yo, I would say the head to head type of combativeness should be, through paper, through legislation. The pen is mightier than the sword, is it not? Did that stop being a thing because you're very, very upset at your government right now? Or at the system right now? Does that stop being a thing because, you feel like you're being oppressed right now? Despite the fact that you have, all of the most freedoms in American history. You dig what I'm saying? There's things that we disagree with, but as far as generally, overall, the overview, you as a Black American are the most free in American history. And you think you're being systematically pigeonholed to a status in life that you can't get out of. And there are no other alternatives. So you want to be able to overthrow the government in hopes that you still won't be broke, poor, unhealthy, and all this other stuff. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I honestly think that the prevalence of this type of thought in Black America is almost solely due to Black Americans not knowing the other half of their history. And I wouldn't even say it's half, to be totally honest, because when you look at these particular eras, we're talking about let's give them an entire decade. Let's give them the 65 to 75, right? That is 10 years out of a 400-year timeline. Let's give them 1940 to 1975. That's still less than 10% of your entire history. You have gotten, historically, Black Americans have gotten a fraction, damn near a fraction of the history that actually took place on this soil. Like a fraction. The bulk of the history that you know about Black Americans is packed inside 1 century. And you're not even using all of it. You're not even using 1900 to 1999. Y'all not even using that. Y'all using 1940 to 1975. You're using a small blip of Black American history and then calling it like this is the end all be all. You don't need to learn anything else, because everything else before that is just Jim Crow, black codes, and then slavery. If you go further back, that's all y'all care. So y'all don't care about the towns that were built. Y'all don't care about the innovations that even slaves brought to this country. Y'all don't. Y'all use them as a proxy. You'll use slaves as a proxy when you arguing. Y'all ain't got no problem to do that. When it's time to argue with a white person or argue with somebody like me, you'll use your enslaved ancestors as a weapon. You'll use them as a weapon then to tell me about the hell that they went through, or try to use it as a way to think that you're educating me on how gruesome slavery was or can be. You think you're educating somebody by using your ancestors as a rhetorical weapon? It's some of the most disrespectful shit that you could do to the ancestors, but y'all still do it because, you know, you need to be brought down a few notches. Black people were slaves. And y'all don't see how y'all sound like the so-called oppressor. When you reduced your ancestors to just slaves, you are doing the work of your oppressor. You don't look at them as humans who were enslaved. You look at them as enslaved people who just so happen to be human. You look at them the same way the slave owner looked at them. And you don't even peep that. Because you think because you get sad at certain parts of slavery or you get mad at certain parts of slavery that you have now somehow given some type of respect to the ancestors. You have not. Your over emotionality does not pay respects to the ancestors because you have not cared to even try to understand them as humans. You have put them in a box of slave, just like the slave owner did. You don't care to know their names. You don't care to know their ambitions. You don't care to know their thoughts because you don't read the slave narratives. You don't care. You just use them as a weapon to argue with people. In the minute that you would even read something like a slave being grateful for the skills that they acquired during slavery, you will clutch your pearls. Because again, you're not looking at them as humans. You're looking at them as chattel, just like the slave owner did. Do not mistake it. That super liberal Black American historical narrative that you are getting is literally from your so-called oppressor. That's where you got it from. You did not get that from any black person. You didn't. The origins of the type of rhetoric that y'all be getting off on the ancestors comes from white people. See, when it comes to the abolition societies, historically, they were against slavery. Good on them. Shout out. But many of them, not all of them, many of them took a parentalism role over your ancestors. And when it came down to, writing certain things about slavery, the narrative surrounding them and stuff like that, they needed the American populace to feel bad about what was going on, to show them the harsh realities of slavery. That strategy is not bad. What I think should have been added to it more, because it's not like it wasn't there at all, was to speak about the dignity, integrity, and the humanity of our enslaved ancestors. The large part of the narrative were that we need to stop doing this to them because this is wrong. They don't deserve this. They are but wretched people. They're feeble-minded people. And we need to be the ones who are their saviors. So when your more than likely white history teacher is telling you this stuff, there is a level of parentalism that they're adding to the narrative because that's what the textbook dictates. They're talking to you as if your ancestors were incapable of doing such as far as freeing themselves without their assistance, without their overseeing, without their holding of the hand, without them being able to dictate the who's and what's and when's and how's and all of that. So that doesn't go away. When you get that information in that way, through that narrative, through that lens, you automatically internalize that same type of parentalism, but now you've been infantilized. You don't even know it, but psychologically, you have given away so much of your autonomy, so much of your agency, so much of your will, your determination, your ambition, your self-esteem, your self-image to somebody who don't even look like you or has your best interests at heart. You ingesting that narrative, and that narrative predominantly or only, have been pretty much forced to consent that where you come from and who you come from were feeble-minded, and you needed a white overseer to make sure that you were doing the right thing. And if you understand where I'm coming from, that is where you get silly terms like respectability politics. Because you have centered white people as a position of inherent and perpetual authority over Black American thought, Black American behavior, Black American life overall, you think that Black people being social or formally social or civil or polite with each other is only to make sure that our white guardians are approving of our behavior. You think that when it comes down to, especially the way that your history has been synthesized to you, that every single thing that Black Americans thought to do was in direct response to something white. White racism, white allyship, white support, white hate, white something. Every single thing you have synthesized Black American behavior overall through the lens of what you believe white people would allow or disallow Black Americans to do. This type of thinking leads to the resentment, leads to the inferiority complexes, leads to when I'm talking about building, nation building, town building, anything, people telling me, oh, they're just going to burn it down again. They're just going to destroy it again like they did Black Wall Street, like they did Rosewood. What about the hundreds of other Black towns? What about the literal hundreds of other Black towns that existed, that fell due to bad management, the Great Depression, people moving out on their own volition? How come all of your Black town stories only end when white people come through and destroy it? Why is that when there's hundreds of them? There's dozens of them nationwide, but you only know about the ones that white people went to fuck up. Why do you think that is? Do you think out of all of the people, as far as Black American, historical Black Americans, that's the stories they would have only told you? They wouldn't have told you about how Boley, Oklahoma right now is still a Black town? They still host rodeos every year right now? Why not tell you about Boley, Oklahoma and its long history? Or Langston, Oklahoma, home of Langston University, built by Tuskegee graduates. Look how deep that history is just in that one town. But they'll rather tell you about a district in Tulsa that was bombed in 1921 and completely restored by 1925. They even leave that part out of the story for a reason. They had a literal parade. There is footage of the parade. They literally threw the parade to show that y'all didn't stop anything over here. They threw a parade to prove that we are not dead, that you cannot kill us. They went out of their way to show the resilience, to show the determination, to show all of the things that the kids needed to see, because kids were there. They could have lied down and died, but they didn't. For the next 4 years, they rebuilt the entire town, the entire district, brick by brick. And you have the nerve to tell me in 2025, oh, they just gonna burn it down again. They didn't even say that. They were just bombed. They were just bombed. They had every reason to say, yo, they're going to burn it down again. Because it just happened. And they still chose to rebuild. But you can tell me, literally 100 years after that, oh, we can't do nothing because they're going to burn it down. And you think your Black American history is solid. You think that the Black American history that you have been getting brought you some type of pride. It turns you into a cowering nothing. It turns you into a coward. It turns you into somebody who actually hates the ancestors. Do you know how many times I've had discussions with people and they have nothing but disparaging things to say about the 50s, the 60s, the 40s, the 30s, the 20s, and all of that other stuff as it pertains to Black family? The stereotypes of having another wife across town and a family in another state and all of that. That has become, that went from a niche, a small percentage of men doing that, to now that being the overall narrative about Black husbands during that time. That all they were perpetually drinking, misogynistic, abusive men who did not love their women. That's how they framed your Black American male ancestors. And then they framed the women as perpetual victims of this misogyny or misogynoir. And you think you got pride in Granny, when all you doing is pitying her. And I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference. The girls who actually have reverence for Granny, reverence for Grandpa, they operate totally different than the ones who only castigate the South and castigate the past and demonize the past. That's all y'all do. I've seen it. I've seen y'all resent the ancestors. Despite that, whatever you got going on, it's because of them. Whatever business idea you think you got, whatever role in politics you think you're going to pursue, anything in higher education, anything, anywhere in this country, it is absolutely, positively, 100% solely because of them. But y'all pop it on the internet like these were some backward ass people that didn't know no better. And that somehow you, with all of your knowledge, you know more than them. But let me let y'all know something. The ancestors did more with less. Where are the Black towns that were created in the past 75 years? Where are the abundance of Black banks created in the past 50 years? Where are the institutions? Where are the brick and mortar businesses that sustain their entire communities, to where the person in that community could walk through their community, drive through their community, never have to leave it, and all of their needs are met? But y'all can sit here and try to tell me that you know so much more than the ancestors. You talking out of your ass. And the only reason why you think that is because you've only been told the stories of destitution, poverty, second-class citizenship, oppression, discrimination, and racism. So you get to walk around saying stupid shit like we are not our ancestors. Because the only narrative that you've gotten about your ancestors were that they were a bunch of perpetual victims who were being beat over the head by white people every day, all day. And if y'all keep this stupid shit up, they're going to do it to you. All of your accomplishments, all of your dreams, all of your ambition, all of your perseverance, all of your strength, all of your courage, all of your bravery, all of everything that you would want to be remembered for, are going to be synthesized and reduced to whatever the fuck was happening around you. That's it. It won't matter. COVID is going to be the historical narrative for you, Jack. Trump, Biden, Obama, the government is going to be the narrative for you, Jack. They're not going to care about your business. They're not going to care about how you helped hundreds of black babies out here. They're not going to care that you fed families. They're not going to care that you spent 30 years of your life creating content to be able to educate people on their history. There's a young lady that I'll always shout out, Simone Bies. Simone Bies, I've watched her change the lives of countless people by just showing them a career path that they could pursue. Simply. Me, as far as Hotep history is concerned, she deserves to be in the history books. I put her right up there with Booker T. Washington. The type of impact that she's making on the people who are willing to follow her program is invaluable. It's immeasurable. You can't even measure it. You can quantify it in certain ways of how many people that'll be able to report back to her and say, hey, I got this job because of you. And I ain't gonna lie, there's not too many weeks that go by where I don't see a post where somebody in her comments, she screenshots it and says, yo, thanks to your content or thanks to the things that you've said and done and helped me with, I landed my first role making $95,000, $110,000. She is literally saving lives. She's enriching lives. And if we keep this stupid ass trend of only focusing on the fuck shit that black people went through, she's going to be lost to history. Now, thankfully, we are in the information age. So there's an abundance of information. And the historical record is going to be much more robust in 100 years, 75 years, 150 years. So thankfully for that, these streams are going to hopefully live forever as long as, Library of Congress, YouTube, they keep their databases and whatnot. But as far as mainstream goes, I doubt it. What I think so far, we're going to get, of course, Obama, he's already in the history books, but Black Lives Matter is going to, be a big part. I think they're going to be able to remix it like they remixed a lot of the civil rights movement. So Black Lives Matter is definitely going to be a major entry. What else? Trump is definitely going to be centered in Black American history, for sure. They're going to center Trump in Black American history through the years that he was president, running for president, in the public eye as a potential politician and all that. Because even after he leaves office, they're going to still center him. Understand? You know that based upon the fact that during the entire Biden administration, we heard more about Trump than Biden. Just by the news. I'm not a betting man, but if I was a betting man, I would bet that Trump had more headlines about him during the Biden administration than the reverse. And he was not president. So I can only imagine when Trump is done being president and now they'll be like, oh, the Trump administration from 2016 or the Trump administration from 2024 and all this other stuff, 2025, they'll be able to say that he's the reason why some fuck shit is happening in 2031 or whatever it is. Because they do that. That's what they do. So I'm telling y'all right now, you have not been told Black American history. You have been told a Black American historical narrative. But you have not been told Black American history. If you can't tell me about S.D. Redmond, you have not studied enough. If you cannot tell me about S.B. Fuller, you have not studied enough. If you cannot tell me about Annie Turnbull Malone, you have not studied enough. If you can't tell me about Junius G. Groves, you have not studied enough. Period. Point blank. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about because you have gotten your Black history. And the thing is, what happens is y'all read books from people that are a generation before you about things that happened 2 or 3 generations before you. Now listen, as somebody, I guess you can call me a scholar, I do believe in writing. Okay, I do believe in publishing your books, but I also believe in order to write those books, as far as history goes, Black American history, I mean, pretty much any subject. If you're writing about it, you owe it to the subject, you owe it to the people that's reading your material to reference things that came before you in the proper and objective light. So for me, when I'm writing my book, because I'm writing a couple right now, I got a novel, and then I have this actual, just like damn near encyclopedia of Black American history. I 100% am getting all of this information from the time. So if it's an event that happened in 1940, I promise you, I'm getting the information from documents during that time. Yo, there was a document, and this is how like crazy I get when it comes to this stuff. There was a document about the Tulsa riot, right? The document was supposedly eyewitness testimony, right? But the document was drafted in 1931. That's 10 years after the events, Jack. I'm going to read it, but I'm also going to be looking for things from 1921. And I found it. There was literal entries from people who lived in the area and wrote down what they experienced individually. Dozens of stories. You can read it yourself. So in my book, the reference pages are going to be chock full of Black American historical figures who wrote their books during their time. And that's honestly, to be totally honest with y'all, it's just my little way of sharing my library with y'all. I tell y'all all of the time that I'm reaching 300 books in my digital library. And I've read them all. I'm not going to say cover to cover because I read for research. So if you wrote a book in 1910 and it was about, I don't know, the riot of 1910, I'm going to read the book, but I'm going to be searching for particular things that I'm interested in. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be searching for quotes. I'm going to be searching for, things that speak definitively about the time and be able to get my information and synthesize it that way because I'm getting it straight from the horse's mouth. When it comes to y'all, though, a lot of the history I get told are books written in like 1982, 1999, 2005 about what was going on in 1930. About what was going on in 1850 and 1860 and 1910. Like, why are y'all not reading the books from that time? They tell you exactly what it is. Now, everybody's not guilty of not having a solid bibliography or a solid reference page. Not everybody's guilty. But I'm telling y'all, when y'all start to read these contemporary books about what's going on back then, you quickly see that they are adding mad sauce. They're adding mad sauce. I told y'all about the origins of the term respectability politics. Now, when I'm thinking about this term, I'm thinking about what it actually means, what we be debating on the timeline about when it comes to respectability politics. You feel what I'm saying? So it's about appeasing white people or placating to white people, making sure that we're respectable to white people and all of that. So I'm expecting this energy to be coming from, at the earliest, the 19th century. That's what I'm expecting. But no, that's not what happened. Okay, maybe it's the 20th century. You dig what I'm saying? What's going on, Memphis? What's going on, Perp? Come on in. But that's not what happened. It wasn't the 20th century either. Well, it wasn't the early 20th century either. I found out that the term was coined in 1993. This is a perfect microcosm of what I'm talking about. Because now you have modern academics, contemporary scholars in these fields, in these institutions, teaching the babies that respectability politics is a thing, and that only came about in 1993. None of the ancestors said anything about respectability politics. None of them. But you're teaching respectability politics in a historical setting, in a historical format. So now you're adding a level of validity to it because they're going to assume that the women that you're writing about and attributing respectability politics to said those words or believe what you believe because you wrote it in a historical sense. So now you tell the students this, they believe that black women in 1880 to 1920 were using terms like respectability politics. You have effectively lied on the ancestors because you put your own twist on what you think they meant by the direct words that they said. See, me, when it's in plain English like that and they let it be known what their intentions are, I take them at their word. When they say in their preface, I am writing this book for the advancement of the race, for the progress of the race, I'm going to believe them. When they're saying that I am writing this to educate the children, I'm going to believe them. When they say I am doing this so we can now interface with each other on civil or more civil terms, I am going to believe them. I am not going to hear the things that they're saying, extrapolate it from it, what I only think it should be, and then put a label on it. Now, I have my own understanding. So I am going to walk away with things, you feel me, that be different from maybe another reader or whatever. I get that. What I'm saying is, if you are going to extrapolate ideas from the ancestors, they have to be positive. Because when you extrapolate the negative, all you're doing is reinforcing the like I said, the so-called oppressor's view of your ancestors. To think that, or to explain that our ancestors' primary thought when it came down to being civil towards one another, when it came to being formal with each other, when it came to being professional, polite, and all of these other different words that describe just a polite society, a high trust society, and you frame it like, oh, they're only doing it because they want to impress white people, you've taken away so much power from your ancestors. But you've empowered yourself because you've now coined a new term, respectability politics. This is a problem. Every single time that black Americans have a full fleshed out story, here comes somebody wanting to pick bits and pieces from it, only take out the bad, and then report that back and say that's the full history. And that's the reason why you guys, despite it being to your detriment, will root for a violent, destructive revolution because you think that's what the ancestors would have wanted. That's what the ancestors were doing. That's what the ancestors would have done. And that's not true all the way. There was a small percentage of black Americans who wanted a violent revolution. A minority of the black American population was willing to burn everything the fuck down. Okay. So we're only supposed to listen to that group who runs younger than the rest of the population, who's not as, experienced or have anything to lose as much as the population. We're supposed to take heed to them. And this is just more and more of what I was talking about when it came down to the difference between a person like Booker T. Washington and a person like W.E.B. Du Bois. One person has a closer relationship to what the general consensus of black America is, and is not, and the other person has lived or created an enclave of people, a small group of people who, while black, still don't really have a full grasp on the full black American general consensus, because they have what they believe to be the prescription or the solutions for black America. This has been happening time and time again over the course of history, because people keep getting told the same narrative. People keep getting fed the same narrative. We keep ignoring the 51% plus people. I would say closer to 65, 75% of the people, maybe even 85, who are literally going to work every day, opening up the shutters on their businesses every day, employing black people every day, paying salaries every day, earning a salary every day, going to church every Sunday, living a God-fearing life, doing all of the things that they need to do to keep getting a leg up in society. That's the majority of us. And then you have these people who believe that based upon the poverty that exists, the discrimination that exists, the ills and perils of life that exist, we now need to uproot the entire country. We need to fix it that way. And because they're louder than the majority, they're more active in their pursuit of resistance than the majority, they're going to be the sexier option for the cameras. They're going to be the sexier option for the journalist and the author and the historian. The black American business that was in the background of all of these revolutions, that's who I care about. The black American entrepreneurs, the black American mothers and fathers, the black American teachers, the black American doctors and lawyers who were practicing their fields while all of this shit was going on. The ones who did their best to put their 2 cents or throw their hat in the ring and being like, hey, I suggest that we, focus on group economics, or I suggest that we focus on enterprising with one another. I think we should focus on building families up. I think we should focus on vocational industrial education. I think we should be focusing on higher education. These people were pushed to the wayside for the so-called revolutionaries because it was the sexier option. It was the more salacious option. That's the issue. Your history is Hollywood now. Your history is a bunch of TV shows, movies. Roots. That's your history. Roots. Made by a known fraud. And then y'all think, and then y'all wonder why you gotta settle for lies. You gotta muster up lies on Facebook to make you feel better, because all of the stories you've been told about your ancestors have been of misery. Gory misery. Bloody misery. And you wonder why you walk around with the chip on the shoulder that you do have. I'm not sitting here saying that you shouldn't know about the racial discrimination. I'm not sitting here saying that you shouldn't know about the oppression. I'm not sitting here saying that you shouldn't learn about slavery. But if you're going to learn that stuff, you need to really learn it. Stop just learning about slavery from the perspective of the slave owner. That's what y'all do. Whips and chains. That's all y'all care about. Y'all just care about the oppression. Y'all don't care about the ingenuity of slaves. Y'all don't care about the achievements of slaves. Y'all don't care about y'all might, because it's sexy, like the resistance and the rebellions of slaves. But you're not interested in hearing about anything else about slavery, because at that point, it doesn't give you that confirmation bias emotionally. That's what happens. You don't get that confirmation bias that, whitey evil, black man victim. No, you literally learn about industrious slaves. You literally learn about the nuances of your ancestors. I'm telling y'all, y'all being sabotaged. Y'all are being sabotaged. There's absolutely no record of communism helping black Americans at all. But you'll have black American communists today. It doesn't make any sense. But when you get told that Harry Haywood was lit, that the politics of the Black Panther Party was lit, of course, you walk away from those stories like, oh, we're under capitalism. They were for socialism and communism. They were brave. They had courage. They were willing to, pick up arms in pursuit of their revolution. Those are the heroes, and only the heroes. So you don't look at a Samuel B. Fuller who had over 5,000 employees, white and black, across the United States, 38 states out of the 50. That don't matter to you. Yo, breakfast programs and all of the other programs is lit. What about the black man who sustained the livelihood of thousands of black Americans with his capitalistic wealth? The wages that he paid. That doesn't count as black liberation? That not only do they not have to be at the whim of a white employer, but also their wages are sustaining their lives. And every last one of these people, for the most part, I'll say, not every last one, because some may have been greedy capitalists and all that other stuff. We gotta, make room for nuance here. But the great majority of these people wanted to help. They wanted you to learn what they were doing. They wanted to share the wealth of not only their money by employing and creating these programs and stuff like that. Like, these capitalists had social programs too. They had social programs. It wasn't just the Marxists and the leftists that had social programs in the community. SD Redmond. Let's get into it. He had the Negro. It was a Negro Christmas Cheer Club. That's what it was. The Negro Christmas Cheer Club. Look. Look who be coming up. You feel me? I really be breaking news out here. Look at this. You got newspapers.com. You feel me? Oh, man. Let me change that up. You had newspaper.com. What is going on? Right? Hold on, y'all. All right. So we got newspaper.com and then President Hotep Dubes. The top two sources about the Negro Christmas Cheer Club. I'm trying to let y'all know something. This is how I know y'all don't know it. This right here proves to me, right here, that y'all didn't know this before I brought it to the internet. Y'all didn't care to know this. This is what I'm talking about. But we know about the breakfast program for the babies with the Black Panther Party. But look, I am your source to the Negro Christmas Cheer Club. I'm honored. I'm flattered. But that's crazy. That's crazy that you got to go to my page only to find out about your history. And you think the lessons in the narratives that you got was full and full fleshed out. You're lying to yourself. You have no idea, actually. So when I say y'all don't know what y'all talking about, I'm not saying that to be a dickhead. I'm saying that because y'all literally do not know. When you look up Negro Christmas Cheer Club, I come up. So what happened before 10 months ago when I tweeted this? Before I tweeted this, there was no other search result other than that one. Hopefully it loads up, but here we go. Extremely generous. These are all his social programs. Let's look at the philanthropy of a black capitalist. Since we only think that philanthropy can only come through socialist revolutions and communist revolutions, let's look at what SD Redmond, the richest black man or the richest man period in Mississippi, was giving up. Let's go. First one. First slide. Dr. S.D. Redmond gives $1,000 to Growing Rust College Building Fund. I wish I knew the date on this, because I would look it up as far as adjusted for inflation. Rust College makes great progress in its $300. Is it $300 or $300,000? I'm going to say $300,000. $300,000 building fund drive, as Dr. S.D. Redmond gives $1,000. The school has raised so far $105,000 in cash, and the Board of Education of the Methodist Church has agreed to give Russ $85,000 additional, thereby making a total of $190,000 in sight. This, of course, is a long ways from the $300,000 their present goal. But said Dr. Redmond, we are well on our way. Dr. S.D. Redmond, a trustee of Rust College, has just raised a reported $2,407 in cash in subscriptions. Of this amount, $1,700 was something. All of this sounds like group economics to me. All of it. Where in this did we have to tear up our communities? Where in this did it say we had to pick up arms, take up arms to shoot it out with the police? Where in this does it say that we need to go to war with the government to be able to take care of our own? So when it comes down to talking about social programs created by Black Americans for Black Americans, why aren't they telling you about these wealthy Black Americans who did nothing but philanthropy work after they got rich? Who did nothing but employ Black Americans as soon as they were able to. And then keeping it all the way gangster and funky, once they got rich enough, they was able to employ white people to also show. Because what did I tell y'all? When it comes to the push for integration, why was it that Black people had to go to these white establishments? Why couldn't the white people just come to our establishments and let that be the push for integration? Because you see what happens when a Black man is in a position to hire Black people, he's going to hire them. And if he's in a position to where your white ass want to come over and get a job, you can get a job too. Come on and integrate. Come get your damn daily pay. White man. The Black man got you. Don't trip. That's showing that, hey, we don't have a problem with integrating for mutual benefit. You come in here, you bust your ass, you produce for my company, and I pay you a fair wage. That's mutual benefit. But the socialists and the communists, this is exploitation. That the Black man is exploiting this white man, but then also, wait, Black men don't have no power, no resources, so he can't be racist. So he's not discriminating him against about race. He's being. Your logic is all over the place. But this is what Black America is about. Looking out for one another. Oh, we building a fund? We're building a fund. Well, they are. But we have a building fund. Here's $1,000. Matter of fact, let's see. Let's let's just do some adjusted for inflation. So he died in 1948. So let's just give it 1945. Let's give it 1945. He gave 1,000, and then he raised another $2,000. How much was $1,000 in 1945? Almost 18 grand. Almost 18 grand he gave to the school. And then how much was 2,400? So 18 grand he gave out of his own pocket, adjusted for inflation. And then 2,407. Oh, come on. 2,407. Let's see how much he gave. Almost 43,000. Like, come on, son. Like, yo, like, come on. That's just one of the things that he did. There's a slide. There's more than one. So let's get back into what S.D. Redmond, Black American capitalist, did for the community for free. For free. Since we think black capitalism can't save us. And be running your goddamn mouth. Let's go. Next slide. Jackson people contribute liberally to the Negro Christmas Cheer Club. Ferguson Furniture Company again gives $150. We want to make sure that the black babies have a good Christmas. So all of the black businesses in the area, including Ferguson Furniture Company, and some white businesses too, but all of the black businesses banded together, pulled their money together, and donated money to the Negro Christmas Cheer Club. So all of the babies and the families could have a good Christmas. All throughout Jackson, Mississippi. This is what the capitalists were doing. This is what the capitalists were doing. So when y'all be talking that shit about, oh, black capitalism is not going to save us, shut the hell up. You ain't saved nothing in your life. And you definitely didn't save nothing in your life through socialism or communism in this country. So please shut the hell up. The entire welfare of black America throughout its entire history here has been fortified by black capitalism. Shut your ass up. Don't tell me about nothing bad about black capitalism when this is happening. And your socialist ass is sitting there complaining about the government while doing absolutely fuck all. I don't want to hear it. What else did S.D. Redmond do? Dr. Redmond gives prizes to students. Can we zoom in on that? Sick of you niggas. Sick of y'all. Sitting there lying on their ancestors. Talking about what won't work. Bums. I think it says, Dr. S.D. Redmond, wealthy business and professional man, and nationally known political leader who gave $200 in cash prize to college students in a nationwide, what does that say? Oh man, I can't see it, y'all. Hold on, let me move this over real quick. Hold on. There we go. Okay, there we go. In a statewide intercollegiate oratorical contest on the question, how to improve the economic status of the Negro, held here last Friday night. Hold up. So you mean to tell me S.D. Redmond, okay, had a contest, a speech contest, where the question was, The how to improve the economic status of the Negro. So, this is what I be talking about with y'all. Y'all don't study the ancestors, so y'all don't know shit. So let me let y'all know something. Let me break this down to y'all, since y'all who are on that socialism, communist bullshit. Let me let y'all know what this means. What this means is wealthy businessman is challenging the youth, the future, to think about ways to improve the economic status of their demographic, their race, and then paying them to do it. $200. He's incentivizing the youth to think economically, to really think about this. And y'all want to keep telling me about socialism. Y'all want to keep telling me about communism. Y'all want to keep telling me about anti-imperialism, anti-capitalism, when your ancestors were being incentivized to learn about how to improve their economic status. Y'all have absolutely no idea what y'all be talking about when it comes to the ancestors. Because y'all don't read, y'all don't study, y'all don't research. Whatever Google AI overview tells you, that's the gospel. Y'all are bugged out. These people are bugged out, y'all. I'm telling you, not y'all chat. Chat, y'all good. Y'all rocking with me. Y'all understand. You dig? But this is what I'm talking about. So when people get to telling me about the philanthropic nature of the Black American socialists and the Black American communists, I promise you, you ain't got nothing on a black capitalist who cares about his people. Nothing. They gonna go above and beyond. Annie Turnbull Malone had 75,000 graduates, fam. 75,000 black women went through those doors and graduated. That's her contribution to the culture, or to the people. But y'all want to sit here and tell me about socialism and communism. I don't want to hear it. Y'all sound foolish. Y'all sound insane. Y'all sound insane. And I'm here to tell y'all. And we're going to set the record straight, because we are tired. We are absolutely tired of y'all lying on the ancestors. Straight up and down. This was all done with capitalism. All of it. Trying to tell y'all, y'all bugged out. They are a bugged out bunch. So, hold on, let me go to the other window. Let's see. Jason says, need you to reclaim the phrase, I am my ancestors, and maybe create a shirt like Maj did for Black Guns Matter. That's a good idea. That's a good idea, fam. That's a great idea. I'm going to get cracking on that. I am my ancestors, and have like Hotep history at the bottom of it or something like that. But yeah, son. Because we've gotten too far away. We've gotten too far away from ourselves. You know how crazy that is? What do you think SD Redmond did all of this for? For nothing? Like, everything that he's doing right here is quite literally investing in the future. Quite literally investing in the future. The college fund for the building, the youth for the oratorical contest, and then the cheer club. Look at the inspiration he's giving the babies just by being himself, just by contributing to their future. That little kid gets food, clothing, and some toys, and y'all don't think he's inspired to be a businessman like Dr. S.D. Redmond? I remember every Christmas, all of the black businesses in my neighborhood would pitch in to make sure that we all had a good Christmas. I remember S.D. Redmond came to my school and gave, adjusted for inflation, 20 grand, and then raised, adjusted for inflation, 40 grand. He looked out for us. I'm going to follow in his footsteps. I'm going to, show him reverence by carrying the torch of doing the same thing for the generation below me. And what do you think that generation is going to do? And what do you think that generation is going to do? And the one after that. But y'all want to sit here and tell me about communism, son. Y'all want to tell me about socialism. And don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure there's some socialist groups outside of the Black Panther Party that did, great things or whatever. But I'm telling y'all, none of them got anything on a black capitalist who cares about his people, who wants to make sure that he's empowering his people. He is going to use his wealth 100% of the time. 100% of the time. And that's just how it goes. And y'all just, not y'all in the chat, but the people who are opposed to black capitalism, you think they know about SD Redmond? You think they care about SD Redmond? Absolutely not. They don't give a damn about SD Redmond. They only care about their ideologies. Memphis says, in the heart of the South, making moves, keep your sob stories. Black folks have always made a way. That's a fact. That's a fact, man. It's a fact. They be trying to tell y'all. And that be the worst part of it, too. Oh, man. That'd be the worst part. When they get the northern schools get to talking about, how bad it is in the South or, and all that stuff. Like, the way they used, as a New Yorker, Memphis, let me tell you, them public schools are not kind to the South. They are not kind to the South. The way they talk about black Americans in the South and generations before us, it's terrible. I only heard about Jim Crow. I ain't hear about SD Redmond. SD Redmond is from Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi. That man is from the South. Third Coast. Shout out to Big Crit. You feel me? Like, he from down bottom. And we ain't hear about no SD Redmond. You dig? So, I think we left off at 19 minutes or something like that? We're going to get back into it.
Well, I think it was very clear.
We already heard this.
The very beginning of the case.
You already heard this. But as I have said before, I want to say 19 minutes. Negro. A news. Yeah, it was around here. Because we was, last night we was cooking Hubert Harrison, wasn't we? His insistence on. We was cooking him. Harrison campaigned for socialist candidates, including Eugene V. Debs, and pioneered outreach to black voters with tailored socialist materials. His efforts helped increase the party's vote tally by thousands, demonstrating black working class potential for socialism. He established the Colored Socialist Club in 1912, a groundbreaking black-led formation within the SPA aimed at organizing black Americans around class struggle. Harrison's writing during this period, notably his 1912 essay, Socialism in the Negro. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go on the rant because I already went on that rant last night. But man, when were you going to start implementing this stuff in your homeland? When were you going to start implementing socialism in the Negro and writing that in St. Croix and circulating that throughout there? I don't understand why you had to use America. I still don't understand why these people, these Europeans, these Caribbean, all these people that came over here wanting to use us as an experiment ground. Either you are fleeing from socialism in your European country and you're trying to implement it here, weirdly, or you're coming from the Caribbean and y'all got, I guess, colonialism, and now you want to implement, why y'all want to implement this stuff over here? Riddle me that. Do that shit at home. Leave us alone. In the International Socialist Review, articulated a materialist analysis of racism. He argued that capitalists perpetuated racial prejudice to maintain a cheap labor pool and divide workers, writing that, quote, economic competition creates race prejudice. end quote, and that socialism must campaign, quote, all sections of downtrodden humanity, end quote. Harrison criticized the SPA for not fully embracing black workers. Every time. Every single time. Listen, I know I made this video. And I know that when it comes to documentaries, when it comes to this type of stuff, there is going to be an agenda that you are pushing. And I'm 100% pushing a pro-capital agenda. I am not hiding that fact. But I am also not lying on these people. Every single last one of these people gets in socialism, gets a taste of socialism, pushes it to everybody that will listen, and then when they get home, they realize, oh, I have not escaped any of the racism that I am saying that I am. And after a while, now, insert black socialist, insert black communist felt that the Socialist Party or the Communist Party didn't really give a fuck about black people. Every single time. Every single time. It's insane to me. I'm telling you, watch. This is the cycle. We are only 16 minutes into this video, chat. And what I'm telling y'all is that he is not the first nor the last person to have the same thing happen. So let's see what happened to Hubert Harrison. Warning that failure to do so would allow capitalists to use unorganized black labor as a club against the wider working class. Quick little pause. Yo, we need to clean up this racism before the capitalists come and use that against us. Not that racism is fucked up. Not that we should stop doing this. But, yo, we don't need this. This is a bad look. They're going to use this against the Socialist Party. They're going to use this against the Communist Party. Optics. His insistence on racial equality within socialism put him at odds with the party's more conservative leadership, leading to his suspension in 1914 after continued critiques of his racial shortcomings. In 1917, he founded the Liberty League of Negro Americans and its newspaper, The Voice, marking the beginning of the militant New Negro movement. This movement rejected the deference of the older generation and demanded racial pride, self-defense, and political independence. Harrison's street corner oratory and journalism galvanized Harlem, earning him the nickname Black Socrates for his ability to educate and inspire the masses. So, this is what you're also going to see through the histories. You gotta be charismatic. You have to be charismatic. You gotta be able to grab the people's attention. You dig what I'm saying? In order to be able to indoctrinate these people, they gotta want to listen to you speak. You know what I'm saying? They gotta want to be able to listen to you speak. So when it comes to that, the socialists understand that. They understand, social. Like they understand about being social. So he's super smart. He's able to convey his thoughts well, and all of that. And he's pushing socialism on the streets of Harlem. And I ain't gonna lie, the streets of Harlem have been paved with preachers and proselytizers and different people who just wanted to get their ideas off. I have espoused my ideas on the streets of Harlem. 125th Street is legendary for this type of stuff. But yeah, man, they call them Black Socrates. But having a slick tongue, having the ability to grab people's attention through your oratory skills is definitely a powerful tool. Not gonna lie to you, I've seen it. I've seen a person's speech be so captivating that they'll believe whatever that person is saying. As a matter of fact, there's a young man right now that goes viral pretty much every other week on the timeline. He very much so has that preacher cadence. It's not couched with the ha in the middle. Today, ha, we are going to ha. Like he don't do that, but he waxes poetically about Black American plight. He's a little dorky dude with glasses, gap tooth. I'm pretty sure y'all seen it. He got the curtains, like he got sheets for curtains and all of that, and he be, frantically speaking and all this other stuff. And, he writes down this stuff, which is cool. You should have a script if you want to be able to speak soundly. That's another part of having good oratory skills, that you are writing down your thoughts before you espouse them. So his delivery is fire. I'll give him that. It's just that he be serving up word salad that don't really mean shit. That's all. And I'm pretty sure that's what Hubert Henry Harrison was doing. Just serving up a bunch of word salad. You can say, like, I'm telling you, if you just watch like Kamala interviews and all of that, like, that's all she do. That's all she did was serve word salad. She's very bad at it. But I'm pretty sure you'll see dude, on your timeline if you haven't already. But yeah, like Son, yeah, watch her, like Son, like he's very good at putting words together that make you feel something. Like, it may not even, Son on TikTok, yeah. Like, he may not even, like, be making sense to you, but it feel like it makes sense. Nobody knows what it means, but it gets the people going. And I'm not saying that I don't understand what he's saying. I do. He says in literally so many words that, the plight of Black America is not Black Americans' fault. Therefore, the solution to Black America's plight is not going to be Black Americans. That is a very weak-minded way to address or to approach problems. To have a hands-off approach to your own solutions is insane. And the type of solutions that I've seen him espouse have been very rudimentary as it pertains to what Black Americans can do. He tries to reframe like nuclear families as this new phenomenon. What's going on, Sammy? It's all good. Better late than never. But he frames like simple shit like pooling your resources in your household as this new revolutionary idea. He presents having nuclear families as some crazy new idea that's not happening right now. And he just frames it. He just puts a bunch of like titles and new titles and shit on it. It's like, no, when it's perfect. The perfect example or the perfect analogy is when a motherfucker is trying their best to describe a very rudimentary meal in an elegant way. So instead of saying like peanut butter and jelly, they'll say, oh, we have a peanut butter puree mixed with a mixed jelly puree on top of on top of a grain slate cut into triangles and all that. It's like, yo, dog, you're just describing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You dig what I'm saying? But that's what he does. But when he's not talking about that shit, he's doing the same thing, but talking about white oppression, discrimination, racism, and all this other shit. And so people who are listening to this shit are like, oh, Son is mad knowledgeable. He knows exactly what he's talking about. These are great ideas and all this other shit. And all he's doing is remixing and repackaging old talking points. Nothing that he's saying is revolutionary or new or even helpful for real, except the stuff that's like, have a family. Yes, that's always going to help. The ancestors been saying have families, have as many kids as possible. They've been saying that. That's not new or revolutionary. You dig what I'm saying? But this is the type of stuff that I'm talking about. The oratory skills. You have to give it to him. Son's oratory skills are up there. They're captivating. I'm pretty sure, I don't be on TikTok, but I'm pretty sure Son be going viral with the shit he be saying. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of women in there in the comments being like, yo, right on, he talking to me, because of course, he has to be able to pander to the woman like all of these people do. Like all of them do. They have to pander to the woman, specifically the Black woman. And he does a great job of that too. She had to shrink herself to make y'all feel big, and she needed to water y'all while she went dry. She wasn't able to be herself. She wasn't able to da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, yo, my mother been telling me what to do my whole life. Right now, my mom be telling me what to do. What are you talking about? She had to be hard in order to understand the soft life was not meant for her and all other shit. And it's like, yo, bro, please shut the hell up, bro. But, yo, it gets the people going. It gets the people going. That's just what it is, son. The Liberty League opposed U.S. entry into World War I, viewing it as an imperialist venture, and called for armed self-defense against racist violence, such as the 1917 East St. Louis riot. Yo, So that riot was crazy. 1, 2. This is where, again, when it comes to me being objective about the ancestors, I too am anti-war. I too do not want American men and women going and dying in senseless wars. 100%. These wars don't be having anything to do with the United States for real, son. Nobody be declaring war on us, son. Like nobody wants smoke with us. For real, for real. But there be other countries that be going through shit, and then we gotta jump in on their behalf. Real shit. I was reading a poll to where over 90% of Americans did not want to go into World War II. They did not want to go to World War II, and I would have to assume they didn't want to go into World War I either. Vietnam, we know that's the famous one because that was the time of the revolutionaries and stuff like that. So protesting against the war was even more popular during that time. But yo, we don't be wanting to go to war, yo. Like that's an American thing. So if you were an American citizen with a brain, like yeah, and you're not a warmonger like a Ben Shapiro or a Tim Pool. If you're not a warmonger like them, then 100% you don't want your fellow countrymen to be going to war and dying for a beef that's not even ours. We be inheriting beef. Nobody wants smoke with the United States of America, son. Don't get me started on 9/11. Don't. Because that happened and then we went scorched earth for the next 10 years. So no, nobody wants smoke with America, son. Like, that's ridiculous. Sammy says, it's true, but why do socialists always employ the "it takes a village" idiom? I would love to know the origins of that phrase in the original context. You know what, Sammy? I'm going to personally look that up for you. Matter of fact, I'm not going to do it right now because I'm doing my start-stop rant. I'm doing my 3-step move, my start-stop rant move right now. But for tomorrow's stream, I will bring you that answer. Maybe I'll even do it like tonight on Twitter. As a matter of fact, y'all gotta let me know y'all at names and all of that. Like, yo, if y'all only, I don't know if y'all getting this from YouTube or whatnot, but yo, at me, can I put in the chat my at on Twitter? I think I can. Yeah, at me. There we go. At me on Twitter, man, and let me know something and all of that. So if y'all want to, have me look something up or whatever, I enjoy doing that. As a researcher, you are not bothering me to ask me to look things up. Now, of course, once the page gets bigger and stuff like that, I'm not about to be looking up dozens and hundreds of people things. But the reason why I don't mind doing it is because I'm still an amateur, y'all. I'm still an amateur researcher. I'm still an amateur historian. I'm not sitting here saying that I know everything. I just know more than most. That I won't fall off of. Like, I do know that I know more than most. Bart, like, that's just facts. Like that. Google Dr. SD Redmond and tell me what you see. Like, you feel me? Like, this ain't me tooting my own horn, son. This is just the facts of the matter. Like, I really be researching, fam. I really be in the archives. I really be uncovering and bringing things to y'all that did not exist. You know what? I'm going to show y'all something. I was going to say this, but it's not really a long video at all. And we can detour to it. But yeah, son. Harrison's race-conscious radicalism. For 1 second. Just for 1 second. I want to show y'all something. That I know for a fact. Y'all ain't know because I literally saw no record of it. Just like SD Redmond. So this is another one that I brought to the table. You feel me? These are my contributions as a historian. Nobody cared to know about this man, and I brought it to the zeitgeist. I brought it to y'all. You know what I'm saying? I hang my hat on these finds. Shout out, shout out. It's a 4-minute video. Let's get into it. The untold story of Frank Brown and his wave in gravity motor. Now check this out. I told y'all there is no unknown history. There's lesser known history. There's no hidden history. If there's record of it being hidden, then there's record of it. This is recorded. It was documented, obviously. There's a picture of them and everything. But this is the only source. The only source to the story. Shout out to Jason. You dig? So while I was, and I'll be more mindful. Sorry. I'll be more mindful of my language just to make sure, because I know the kids is listening. Shout out to the kids. You know, shout out to the kids. I think I'm done. I'm not done ranting, but I'll make sure I watch my language, because I want the baby to understand exactly what I'm saying. I want him or her to understand. And shout out to you, watcher, for finding me on Twitter. Just just at me, y'all. Just at me and be like, yo, I was watcher, I was Sammy, and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Just hit me, and we can chop it up some more. All right, but we're gonna watch this video right now, because I know that y'all have never heard of Frank Brown. So let's learn about Frank Brown real quick. It's a 4-minute and 20-second video. So while I was perusing through the archives, I happened upon this man right here, Frank Brown. In the early 20th century, Frank Brown, a black American inventor from Baltimore, unveiled a creation that defied the industrial norms of his time, the wave and gravity motor. This device, demonstrated at Young's Hall, harnessed the relentless power of ocean waves and the subtle force of gravity to generate electricity. A working model stirred thoughtful citizens. Its reinforced concrete buoys promised a steady flow of energy capable of transmitting power 200 to several hundred miles away. Dog. So, if you're not following, Frank Brown invented water-powered electricity, essentially. That he used the waves from the ocean and the movement of the waves to generate electricity. And not only that, the electricity could be serviced 200 miles away from the site. So inland or landlocked areas in the country were still going to be able to benefit from this energy. And it's being produced by ocean waves. This was no mere curiosity. It was a vision to eliminate the use of coal, reduce labor costs, and provide cheap renewable energy for lighting, trains, and machines across the nation. The economic implications of this invention, had it been produced at a national scale, would have been staggering for 1912 America. At the time, coal powered nearly 75% of the nation's electricity, with annual consumption around 400 million short tons, costing approximately $2 to $3 per ton, totaling roughly $1 billion annually. Brown's motor aimed to eliminate this dependency, replacing coal with ocean waves. If scaled nationally, it could have saved industries that $1 billion, redirecting funds to manufacturing and infrastructure. So this is what I'm saying. This is what Black American ingenuity is about. This is happening in 1912, fam. 1912, this is happening. And this invention was going to revolutionize electricity in America. Electricity all throughout the country, son. 75% of the nation's energy was coal powered, son. It was coal powered. And here comes a black man from Baltimore or the DMV area. Like, yo, I've created this invention, and here's a working model of it. So this is not me just blowing smoke. I actually have a working model of it. It's smaller, obviously, but this is exactly how the electricity was going to be generated. It's going to be able to service people 200 miles away from the site of generation and be able to service as many people, in that radius as possible. Not only that, it is going to cut costs significantly because the source of the power is the ocean, son. It's the ocean. The ocean. Yes, that big blue, the vast body of water that covers the entire planet, son. That is the source. So while people are talking about solar power and all of the other stuff, being able to harness your energy from the sun and all of the negative implications that have with that, because all of the what is it called, energy cost, or the cost analysis of it is not the best. We are talking about hydropower now, revolutionizing energy across the country, son. And 100%, you have never heard of this man. 100%, this dude before tonight was as real to you as Pierre Neptune was. Y'all was here yesterday for Pierre Neptune and the invention of Hennessy. But this was real life, son. This is actually from a newspaper that I got. And I was just in the archives. I double checked to make sure this wasn't like a fictional character that the editor of the newspaper was talking about. No, this is a real inventor that actually existed in America during 1912. And this is the only record outside of maybe his family, his descendants. But this is the only publicly available source on this man. I have been looking. Like, I almost am ready to go to Baltimore and go to the archives myself and see what I can learn see what I can learn about him. And you'll see why. For example, the steel industry, which consumed about 20% of U.S. coal production, might have cut energy costs by 30%, saving $60 million every year, boosting output and reducing steel prices from $30 per ton to potentially $25 per ton, reshaping construction and rail expansion. Beyond coal savings, the motors promised to reduce labor costs would have transformed industrial economics. In 1912, coal mining employed over 700,000 workers, with wages averaging $600 per year, totaling $420 million in labor costs. Wave energy, requiring minimal human intervention once installed, could have slashed these expenses, freeing up capital for factories to hire skilled workers or to invest in machinery. The motor's ability to power trains and machines several hundred miles away could have lowered freight costs, then 2 cents per ton mile for coal transport, potentially saving railroads $50 million annually, accelerating commerce between coastal and inland cities like Baltimore and Pittsburgh. A New Jersey electric company, the Atlantic Perfected Motor Company, recognized this potential, investing $250,000 or over $8 million today to bring this vision to life. Incorporated under New Jersey law, the company planned operations for spring of 1913, a milestone that hinted at a new era of innovation. Yet, the story takes a mysterious turn. No record exists of the motor's completion or Brown's fate after the demonstration. The Atlantic Perfected Motor Company vanishes from historical ledgers, its $250,000 capital unaccounted for, its promise unfulfilled. Son just fell off the face of the earth. This black inventor invents a motor that is powered by the ocean that is going to generate electricity for millions of Americans, cut costs by millions and billions of dollars, and revolutionize the generation of electricity in America. He gets invested in $8 million adjusted for inflation in New Jersey. And then after that happens, nothing else. Absolutely nothing. No fallout, no this failed, no nothing. It's just that this man and his invention and the company that invested in him all fall off the face of the earth. I'm telling y'all, as a researcher, I researched the company. Perfected Motor Company. I researched him. I researched just coal-powered companies during that time that may have wanted to compete and all. Like, I'm telling you, I looked. I looked, son. I looked, and I can't find anything about him, even though he was going to revolutionize the entire country's way of generating electricity, son. I don't know if y'all know how incredibly crazy that is, but it is incredibly, incredibly crazy, son. It is insane. What happened to Frank Brown, son? I need y'all. I need y'all. Man, listen, I don't know, Vin. I don't know. Tesla put a hit out. Tesla put a hit out. I'm trying to tell you. What happened to what happened to Frank Brown, son? I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all. I want to know. Yeah, well, Sammy says they got Buddy up out of here. Can't have that competition in the paint with Cole. That's a fact. That's a fact, son. What we about to do? This light-skinned Negro come out of nowhere talking about generating electricity from water? Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know if they paid him off. I don't know what they did. All I know is that Frank L. Brown of Baltimore, Maryland, falls off the face of the earth. No census records, nothing, Jack. Just gone. Amazing inventor in 1912 pops up because like you nobody until you somebody. You nobody until you somebody, son. So he becomes a somebody in 1912. Like, yo, I've invented this. Brings it to a fair or something like that. Shows the model. It works. People are gassed about it. He's going around Baltimore, all of that, promoting his invention. He finally gets some money. He finally gets the interest of a company out of New Jersey. Gives him the equivalent of $8 million to a Negro in 1912. And then nothing. I don't know, chat. I don't know, chat. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Watcher says, like Buddy in Buffalo with the water for fuel engine. Yeah. Yeah. I do remember that. Did they kill him? Did they silence him? What happened to him? Tell me what happened with him, Watcher. Vincent says coal was entirely too much bread. That's a fact. That's a fact, son. Like, all of these factories, they said 25% of steel production was coal powered. 75% of all energy was coal powered. Like, this is livelihoods we talking about. Because that was another thing. It was going to cut labor costs too, because we don't need all of you dudes breaking your necks, breaking your backs inside coal mines anymore. But the cost of energy is going to go down. So, y'all think they would have like taxed the ocean at that point? How y'all think they would have got it back in blood? They was going to get that money back in blood. They would have got that money back in blood somehow. Like, all right, we got a water tax. We got the electricity water tax. Every American got to pay a tax on this water generated electricity that will be pretty much the same amount of money if you just had coal. They was gonna get their money. Word? They killed son in a grocery store? I didn't know that. I thought he just got silenced or something. I didn't know they killed him. Jeez. Jeez Louise, man. Can't even innovate around here. I thought we were in America. Let's finish the story. Brown, a Washington native known for his ambition to achieve something worthwhile, disappears without a trace. No patents, no further documentation, no legacy preserved. In fact, this is probably the only time you've ever even heard about Frank Brown. Facts. Now, was it technical failure that silenced his work? Did financial struggles or systemic barriers faced by Black American inventors in 1912 erase his name? Or could coal interests, threatened by a new technology that could dismantle their billion-dollar empire, have taken them out, ensuring their business remained unchallenged? The lack of evidence leaves us with questions, marking this as an untold hidden history. Frank Brown's contribution remains obscure, a forgotten chapter in American innovation. His effort to pioneer sustainable energy could have reshaped industry, Yet the void where his story should be underscores the need to uncover such overlooked figures. What happened to the intelligent mind behind this revolutionizing technology? Did the establishment bury his achievement, or did he fall victim to those who profited from Cole's reign? The mystery endures, a silent testament to a black American inventor lost to time. A literal mystery, son. A literal mystery. That bugged me out. Sammy says stuff like that forces whole industries to shift and workers to retool. That's the thing about inventors. It's not about the ingenuity, but rather the timing. He was too ahead of his time. He was too ahead of his time. The world wasn't ready for water-powered electricity, apparently. Trying to tell you, man. Like, so my thing is, let's go back to the original example about the histories y'all get told. Now, this was documented in the newspaper in 1912. What happens? Excuse me, y'all. What happens if a black historian or a black teacher, a black educator, reading this story? Because it's not it's not history at this point. It's just something that's going on contemporarily. You read this story and you write it down and you tell it to the babies, because the news articles tells you exactly how the machine works. Now, it doesn't tell you how he built it or the schematics or the blueprints of it, but he does tell you what the invention is and what it does and how it's supposed to help. The babies get wind of this. The babies who are already scientifically inclined, your 8-year-olds that like tinkering with stuff, and you tell him these stories like, hey, there's a man by the name of Frank L. Brown who has this invention and we've seen it work. He had a working model and all that other stuff, and you put that in the baby's face, and he 8, 9 years old, she's 8, 9 years old. Who knows what they would create? Because they inspired by Frank L. Brown. I'm trying to tell you. And I know y'all may think that I'm tripping when it comes to the inspiration part, but you'll have plenty of doctors, lawyers, and professionals today to tell you that it was like one person in their field before them that they gravitated towards before they even knew they wanted to be in that profession. But because of the respect and adoration and admiration and all that stuff that they had for that figure, that's what inspired them to get into the field. Happens all of the time. After I wrote my book, a few of my peers went on to write books. Yo, like, that was dope seeing you being a published author and all of that stuff. So I got an idea for a book too. Because I never took offense to the if he can do it, I can do it too type shit. Because, yeah, son, I'm letting y'all know right now, son, I am a regular dude. I come from regular backgrounds. My parents weren't rich or none of that other stuff. I got a GED. I dropped out of high school. I got a GED. On the job application where they be like to tell you the level of education and all of that, mine is some college. Some college. I went to college for like a semester or two or whatever. But that was it. But there's still a knack for learning there. There's still a knack for wanting to be educated and intelligent about things that I'm interested in. It just so happens that the things that I'm interested in are things like Black American history, knowing where I come from. Because I truly believe the nucleus of all of this, as far as my confidence and the things that I come from, is because of the people that came before me. The men and women that I looked up to as a child, seeing their behaviors and wanting to emulate those things. Wanting to do the same thing. Like my Uncle Richard had a friend named Franklin. Franklin was one of the coolest dudes that I ever met, son. He always had a toothpick in his mouth and he rode a motorcycle. He was mad cool. Every time that I seen him, all of the women loved talking to him. He had charisma. He made them laugh and all of this shit. My pops was the same way when it came to the family functions. He had all my aunts and them in stitches, making them laugh. He knew how to dance. Super swaggy. These are the men that I was around. My Uncle Mark, rest his soul, my OG. who taught me a lot about life, period. I watched that man love my aunt like the queen she's supposed to be. I watched him protect and provide his family, including me. He provided, like in the same way SD Redmond made sure that those babies in Jackson had a good Christmas. My OG, my Uncle Mark, made sure I had a good Christmas every year of my life. Every year of my childhood, he made sure that I was good and I was lit and I felt a part of the Christmas cheer. And I wasn't the only child. He had his own Negro Christmas cheer club of his own. He was a surrogate dad for a lot of the boys in the neighborhood who didn't have one. Everybody wanted to learn from my Uncle Mark. And then when I got older, I tell y'all about the store that I worked at. My OG Heavy have taught me a lot. I've always gravitated towards black men who were about some shit. And those men never had low confidence. Those men never had low self-esteem. Those men never were down on themselves, even if they were down during there. I remember my OG, he was in between jobs. And, you know, I'm thinking I'm going to help my OG and all of that stuff. I may have been like 12 years old. And I'm like, yo, OG, you know, Unc, you know, me and you, we going to go and look for jobs tomorrow and all this other stuff. And he just looked at me, smirked, and was like, man, first of all, mind your business. Where'd you even, what are you talking about? That's the first thing he said, stay in the child's place. And then he let me know, like, yo, no, I'm a grown man. I got this. Grown men take care of their responsibilities. Grown men take care of their family. So for me, son, like, I understand the power of inspiration, the power of influence, and the power of our history. Cause that's all the older generation is just walking history. I tell people all the time, when you want to do research on your family, right? You need to go to your oldest living family member and ask them about the oldest living family member that they remember through their life. So if you're talking to your 85-year-old grandmother or 85-year-old or 95-year-old grandfather, and you ask them about the oldest person that they know, you are now over 100 years in the past learning about somebody. That's how history works. That's it. I tell y'all all of the time, you cannot have the present without the past, and you cannot have the future without the present. It's impossible. You would be breaking the space-time continuum if you did anything else. That's how this works. Go to your oldest living relative and ask them about the oldest living relative that they remember. So you can get a good history on where you come from. And then you go down the line from there. So you start all the way in the back, and then you work yourself to the present. And then you'll learn a lot about your family's history. You learn a lot. Aaron Salter Jr. was the brother in Buffalo with the water for fuel engine. Rest in peace to him. Shout out to that ingenuity. So that is the reason why history is important, ladies and gentlemen. You must study your ancestors. You must study your ancestors. I was on the Comedicine show yesterday. I wasn't on it, but I was in there watching it. Shout out to Dr. Inky, my boy HJ. And Inky was making a point to say, like, yo, y'all spend more money on weed than y'all do on the ancestors. Y'all spend money on weed more than y'all care about spending that money to learn more about your ancestors and studying your ancestors. That's where the answers are. That's where the answers are. That's where the blueprints are. That's where the schematics are. You have to study your ancestors. They are not to just be perused over or given a glance once a year in the month of February. It literally should be its own subject. It's called history, but it should be, no, we're solely focusing on the works, the achievements, the accomplishments, the pitfalls, and the failures of the ancestors. Period. That's what we need. That's especially what the baby needs. The babies need a direct conversation with the ancestors, with you as the intermediary, as the mediator. Like, yo, this is what the ancestors were doing, and this is what they said for you to do, for us to do, over 175 years ago. That's the point of history. I'm telling y'all, if my grandkids don't take heed to the things that I say, I'm not saying that you got to follow it verbatim. I would like if you did, because I'm not telling you, what to be. I'm telling you who to be. Your morals, your values, your ethics, and stuff like that by using the people that came before me. I tell you about all of my accomplishments. I tell you about all the things that I went through throughout my life, all of the things that I remember. I'll get sources from your great grandmother, my mother, and all of that other stuff. Other family members who are older than me that remember my childhood a little bit better than I did or something like that. But we're going to compile my life story and be able to present it to you so you know exactly what Grandpa was thinking, exactly what Grandpa was doing while he was alive. And you're going to hold that book near and dear to you. So the day that you become a grandma or the day that you become a grandpa, you'll pass it down to them, and so on and so forth. That's lineage. That's heritage. That's tradition. That's family. That's what this shit is about. There's nothing more important than the family. What Wayne say? Family first, family second, family third. That's a fact. We got away from that. We got away from legacy and last names. We got away from knowing that you're walking, talking history to somebody that's much younger than you. There's a baby born right now, yo, that I've lived so much more life than. That by the time they're 10 years old, I'll be pushing 50. You know how much information that I could give that young person from eras that they never knew existed because they didn't exist during that time? There's always going to come a time where we will become the elders. And after we become the elders, we become the ancestors. And then there are going to be people like me, after I'm dead and gone, screaming at their contemporaries to study their ancestors. You need to study Hotep Dubes. You need to study Hotep Nation. They're going to be on it like that. So let's get back to the communism video, y'all. Shall we? Yo, Patreon, boy.
So I think it was very
Baby,
clear
burning me up.
from the very beginning.
I hope y'all are enjoying the stream. Hope y'all been enjoying it tonight. It's a little lag. Right here.
Nickname Black Socrates for his ability to educate and inspire the masses. The Liberty League opposed U.S. entry into World War I, viewing it as an imperialist venture, and called for armed self-defense against racist violence, such as the 1917 East St. Louis riot. Harrison's race-conscious radicalism contrasted with both Booker T. Washington's gradualism and W.E.B. Du Bois's elite-focused talented 10th strategy, appealing directly to the black working class.
So, this is another poignant point here, because not only did he not jive with the more conservative side of Booker T. Washington, he didn't really jive with the talented 10th model either. So, you know how we were just talking about people saying, yo, I'm not my ancestors and all that other stuff? This is the generation that started this. Believe it or not. Because they considered themselves the new Negro. He created the new Negro movement. Hold on, let me make sure that y'all can see this. There we go. Just gotta make sure that y'all can see it well. Give me a second, y'all. Sorry. All right. So the new Negro movement. Let me see if it sounds familiar to y'all.
In 1919, he launched the New Negro, a newspaper that popularized the term and urged Black Americans to fight back against white oppression, further cementing his influence. In 1920, Harrison briefly joined Marcus Garvey's UNIA as editor of its newspaper, Negro World, amplifying its reach. While he admired Garvey's mass mobilization, Harrison parted ways over tactical differences and Garvey's focus on black capitalism rather than socialism. Nevertheless, many of Garvey's early lieutenants, including Cyril Briggs and Richard B. Moore, were Harrison's proteges, reflecting his foundational role in black radicalism.
Before we get there, you see what they do? And I don't know if this is just a product of their OGs or a product of them in their own personalities, but I'm seeing a lot of hopping around. Y'all notice that? Now, when it comes to political strategy, I'm with it. But there also seems this need for at least Harrison here to having to jump in different cars. So you jump in the Booker T. Washington joint, you see that don't really rock with you. That don't really mesh well with what you got going on. You try what is that? W.E.B. Du Bois. That's not really working for you. Then you try Marcus Garvey, and then y'all fall out. Like, you kind of all over the place, brother. You kind of all over the place. What's going on with you? What's up with you?
Speaking of Harrison's proteges, Cyril Valentine Briggs was a pivotal figure in the intersection of socialism, black radicalism, and Pan-Africanism in the United States during the early 20th century. In fact, this is the first time in black American history where outright communism will be advocated for. Born on May 28, 1888 in Nevis.
This is what I'm saying, son. Again, another immigrant coming over here telling black Americans what's best for them. Why you ain't do this in Nevis or Nevis, where you from? Why you ain't do this in St. Kitts? Why you ain't go to Charlestown or what is that, Nevis Peak? Why you ain't go to McMisery? That sounds like a place that needs some type of reform. And go to McMisery and push this communism stuff. Why come to America? Never understood.
Small island in the British West Indies, Briggs emerged as a journalist, organizer, and revolutionary thinker who sought to unite black liberation with Marxist principles. His work bridged the militant New Negro movement and the international communist movement, making him a key influencer in the radicalization of black America.
Key influencer. Key people. These are people who are extremely or gradually influential over black American politics. I want y'all to keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. That you do not have to be a card-carrying socialist to carry these ideas. I know this because I'm a card-carrying Hotep, and there are people who won't outright say they Hotep, but they don't disagree with a single thing that I say. Everything that I be saying as it pertains to black America, as it pertains to, how I look at politics, economics, culture, social, they like, oh yeah, I rock with him. They be in my DMs, famous people. You know what I'm saying? Like celebrities and all of that. Other people that's on the timeline that has a large following and all of that. They rock with my message. They rock with my ideology. They rock with my behaviors. They're everything but like card-carrying Hoteps. So in the same way that you don't have to be a card-carrying socialist, to understand Cyril Briggs or agree with Cyril Briggs. and other influential figures. And as you can see, we are decades before the Black Panther Party. Decades.
By 1912, he had secured a position at the New York Amsterdam News.
Look, 1912. This is what's happening in New York, right? As far as politics and stuff like that, at least for the socialists. Now, what else did we learn tonight about 1912? Frank L. Brown. Frank L. Brown was literally revolutionizing American electricity while this was going down. While black immigrant socialists and communists was coming here trying to convince black Americans to adopt this economic model. Keep that in mind about what's going on at the time.
A prominent black newspaper. His sharp intellect and writing skills elevated him to editor by 1915, though his radicalizing views on race and imperialism soon put him at odds with the paper's more conservative ownership. Briggs' early exposure to Hubert Harrison, whose lecture he attended in Harlem, planted the seeds for a shift towards socialism and militancy.
So we got one black immigrant coming here pushing socialism, another one from another part of the Caribbean or wherever the West Indies or whatnot, coming behind him and being influenced by him in America again. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that the origins of this is black immigrants. It's not. I talked about Peter H. Clark. Peter H. Clark got up off that shit though. So, you know what I mean? Just saying. And Peter Clark is some overlap, but I want to say Peter Clark died before Hubert Harrison came to the United States, or like soon after. And then here comes Cyril Briggs right after him. And these are the major people. Now, you do have A. Philip Randolph, who I want to say was a socialist as well. Y'all let me know. Was A. Philip Randolph a socialist? I want to say he was. Wasn't he? Y'all let me know in the chat.
World War I and its aftermath catalyzed Briggs' radical turn. Outraged by the same race riots of the early 20th century and the hypocrisy for fighting for democracy abroad while denying it to black Americans, he grew critical of American imperialism. In 1917, his editorial in the Amsterdam News condemning U.S. racial policies led to his resignation under pressure from federal censorship during wartime. This experience pushed him to launch his own platform. In 1918, Briggs founded The Crusader, a monthly magazine that became a leading voice of the New Negro movement. He advocated armed self-defense against lynching, Pan-African unity, and socialist revolution.
So, again, socialist revolution. Decades before Angela Davis said it, decades before Stokely Carmichael said it, decades before the Black Panther Party adopted it. Now, when it comes to the New Negro movement, these are the first batch of niggas to say shit like, or say stuff like, I'm sorry, my fault, I know it's the kids listening, to say stuff like, we are not our ancestors. The New Negro movement of the early 20th century were children and grandchildren of slaves who believed that they knew better than their elders. They knew better than S.D. Redmond. They knew better than Junius G. Groves. They knew better than, all of these people that came before them who made something of themselves. All of the former slaves who gained literacy through their own determination and the fact that they built their own schools. The black towns that were erected all throughout the country. All of the accomplishments all go to the wayside because they believe socialism is the new thing. That's the new hot thing. That's the new sexy thing. We need to focus on that. And whatever grandma, grandpa, mom, and dad were talking about, they don't know. And that is the reason why the sentiment of we are not our ancestors come from them. Now, they didn't say those exact words because they weren't ancestors at that time, but they 100% said things like, yo, we are not our grandparents. 100%. They They spoke like this. And it's being forged. It's not lost on me that it's being forged by Europeans and black immigrants. They are using these black immigrants to be able to infiltrate the black American community, who is inherently conservative, inherently Christian, okay, inherently pro-capital, inherently for private property. Inherently, these are all of the things that we get into as far as black American culture. It's a fact. It's a fact. So now, every single time we have this small minority of people who may look like us, may not look like us, pushing a particular agenda for the masses, and because they're passionate and they have good oratory skills, and that they make you feel empowered based upon putting the blame of everything that ever has gone wrong in your life on an external party. Like, they know what they are doing. They understand the power of media. They immediately create newspapers. They immediately write books. They immediately create publications because they need to have control over the narrative. They need to create media. And this was before TV. So newspapers and books, magazines. These are going to be your first and foremost ways of media to be able to influence the masses. And that's the reason why they have this playbook. And we'll get to the playbook later on. We are going to go till midnight, y'all. We are going to go to midnight. We're going to rock out. We're going to watch this whole thing. I'm tired of alluding to it. Tomorrow's Juneteenth. I want to start the book club. I want to get into other stuff tomorrow.
In 1919, inspired by the Bolshevik Revolution and Harrison's example, Briggs established the African Blood Brotherhood, or the ABB, a secretive paramilitary organization of black radicals. The ABB aimed to protect black communities from racial violence and advance a revolutionary agenda. It was co-founded by Grace Campbell, who was also the first black American woman to join the Socialist and Communist Party of America.
Yo, I want to say Grace Campbell's peoples, one of them was Jamaican, though. Y'all can fact check me on that, but I want to say that one of her parents was Jamaican.
Its program combined socialism with black nationalism, calling for a, quote, racial empire in Africa and absolute racial equality in America, end quote, reflecting Briggs's belief that black liberation required both global and domestic struggle.
See what I'm saying? Every single time, they're going to push their agenda at the expense of yours. They understand. See, the thing is, I want y'all to stop thinking that these people don't know what they're doing, son. I want y'all to stop thinking that these people do not have the ability for ulterior motives. They 100% understand the position that you are in as Americans, specifically black Americans. They understand about the race relation issue. They understand about the tumultuous nature of black and white interfacing with each other, and they exploit that. So they keep telling you racism is capitalism. Capitalism is racism. They make them synonymous with one another to program in your mind that any time that you are walking through America, having a job, owning a business, paying taxes, or doing whatever you do in the system, it's synonymous with capitalism, which is synonymous with racism. So any and everything that you hate about society, it is because of those two things, and they're intertwined with each other. They might as well be the same word. And they understand that. So what they come out here to do, they siphon all of this energy, all of this attention, all of this money, all of these resources, and then be like, oh, we are also doing this for international causes as well, namely the country that I come from, Africa, all of these different places, and we need everybody to chip in and help and all of this other stuff. Now, listen, I believe in, just like I said, when it came down to the South or when it came down to America, I believe that integration should be through mutual progress and mutual benefit. Now, if there's a mutual benefit between black Americans doing business with the black Caribbean or Caribbean, if there's mutual benefit for black Americans to be able to do, trade and all that other stuff with black Africans or, in Africa, let's do it. I'm all for mutually beneficial partnerships. Let's do it.
The ABB.
So when it comes down to these discussions or these discourses about it, though, what usually tends to happen is that the people are pretty much petitioning black Americans to take up the mantle for their struggles in their home countries and using all of the resources or as many resources as possible that we have to be able to aid their cause. And in return, they'll continue to write these books that we got to buy, write these newspapers that we got to buy, these speeches, like, they make us feel good, make us feel empowered and stuff like that, propaganda pieces. They'll do all of that other stuff, but you won't hear of the other country or any of that being like, yo, here's what we have to offer black America or America. No, it's just the Communist Party. Join us. That's it. Join us. And to me, it just sounds like y'all just want to be able to take over the world via your political and economic ideology. And it's like, yo, capitalism probably pretty much got that all sold up. Now, we already know that through the corrupt governments that even we have, it's a lot of communism going on behind the scenes. A lot of it. Rent control, price control, these high-ass taxes that we pay. And it's a whole bunch of stuff that even within capitalism that I don't like and I don't agree with. But to think that I would usher in full-blown communism, full-blown social, you got to be out of your mind. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense at all. I already hate the way the economic system, even in as it is. Why would I make it worse by turning it into socialism or communism? You kidding me? Don't make no sense.
B's radicalism caught the attention of the newly formed Communist Party USA.
See, look, again, this black dude and his new Negro movement, they kicking stuff up in America. So the same way that these black socialists and these black communists are using black Americans, here come communist countries, Soviet Russia and all these other countries being like, oh, snap, these black socialists, these black communists is really kicking it up out there. We can use them to further our agenda. Now we can say we have a black or a Negro ally. Now we can start pushing propaganda that America is the worst place you could possibly live due to their racism. See, y'all don't want to get into that there's actually a communist conspiracy, and we'll get into that later on because a part of the book club will be Manning Johnson's book. Please believe it. We're reading that from cover to cover, Jack. But they understand the tumultuous nature or the tumultuous status or state, rather, of black and white race relations. These communists understand that fully, and they're exploiting it and using and propagandizing it against America. That's a fact. This is war strategy. See, that's what people don't understand. You caught up in war right now. You caught up in the battle of propaganda. You caught up in this country trying to circumvent your government by going to you to have you circumvent it for them. You don't understand that you're being used as a pawn right now. You don't understand that they want as much agitation, racial agitation as possible, because they want you as angry at your country as possible. As possible. Because if you're not a patriot, if you're not pro-America, you're anti-America, and you're anti-whatever America has going on, which includes resisting me or resisting the opposition. So now another country sends their agents into our country, pushing their agenda here as if it's an American-born idea. But no, as we can see, we have black immigrants and white immigrants coming over here pushing socialism and communism as if it's an American idea. That's what's happening. Y'all don't understand that you're being used. And if you do understand that you're being used, then you are an outright enemy to us. And this is what I was talking about when it comes to those fringe people. These are those fringe people where you, as a black person in America, not a black American, but a black immigrant coming here being like, yo, this foreign economic model, which has killed millions of people, which is in complete opposition to this country that I'm in, y'all should adopt it. Why didn't they go to Soviet Russia, or why didn't these other groups come to Soviet Russia or go to Soviet Russia to push capitalism? You see what I'm saying? So now these people are now being used as agents to be able to circumvent the American people and cause as much unrest as possible. So if you are so worried and wrapped up about all of the agitation that's going on race relationally, where now everything that you care about is based in race, racism, discrimination, oppression of race, all of this other stuff. Here comes the Communist Party from Soviet Russia talking about, oh, we don't have racism out here. We got total racial equality. That's what you care about, right? We have total racial equality. We also have economic programs that are supposedly going to help black Americans. They telling y'all this. They are playing like they're your allies. And because you think your ally is supposed to be somebody that just waxes poetic about you all of the time, gives you a bunch of pats on the head and compliments you, you fall for the okie doke every time, just like that dude that's on that TikTok. Y'all literally fall for the pimping. That's what I call it. Y'all get caught up in the pimping. Y'all get caught up in the oratory. Y'all get caught up in the flair. You get caught up into the crowds. Everybody's yeah. Down with America. Down with imperialism. Down with, like, they're just throwing buzzwords at you. And you hype. You don't even really know what's going on. You really don't understand the words that they're even saying or the concepts that they're throwing at you. I remember I watched a Fred Hampton speech. And he was telling them, like, yo, you got to call yourself the proletariat. Now, I'm not saying that everybody was dumb, but I want to know if the average Negro walking in Chicago knew what a proletariat was. You see what I'm saying? But it sounds good. It sounds lit. I'm a proletariat. Giving yourself these titles and labels and stuff like that because titles and labels make people feel good. This is all human psychology at this point. And they're playing into it heavy. They understand psychological warfare. So when I get to talking about psyops, I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not talking about something in my, my opinion. Like, no, this is literal. This is what a psyop is. This is what a psychological operation is. To play on your psyche, to have you operate differently. That's a psyop. This is a textbook example of a psychological operation. Textbook. It don't get more textbook than this. Right, Mike? Falling for all the ism. They falling for the ism. Them socialists and communists is all in their ear like, yo, man, you ain't trying to be with this capitalist for the rest of your life for real. Like, you being exploited. You're not even really making no money for real. You need to come over here and rock with the communism because over here we proletariats. Over here we for the people. Over here it's about equality. It's about, we don't even deal with racism like that. Come on over to our side. You know what I'm saying? Just come on over to our side and you'll be all right. Everything is going to go away. You're not going to deal with the racism no more. You're not going to deal with being poor no more. You're not going to be hungry no more. We're going to overthrow the government, baby. You ain't even got to worry about it. I got you. You could trust me. I got a hammer and sickle. You heard? I'm going to take care of you. I'm the Communist Party. You come over and vote for us. You do what we tell you to do. Don't ask no questions. You do exactly what we tell you to do, and you're going to be all right. That's what it was. And these dumb niggas was like, okay, that sound lit. Yeah, like when, comrades and compatriots and all of that. Yeah, Just buzzwords. Just buzzwords. It just sound cool. You feel me?
or CPUSA, which under the
Hold on, what we got? Vincent says that's how they got Paul Robeson. Russia was pimping hard. Richard Wright wrote books about the same thing as well. Absolutely. Bingo. Bingo. Talking that talk. That's all.
directives from the Communist International, or Comintern, sought to organize black workers. In 1921, Lenin spoke on the importance of the, quote, Negro worker. That same year, Briggs and the ABB began collaborating with the CPUSA, though he initially resisted full integration, wary of subordinating black autonomy to white-led organizations, an echo of Harrison's critiques of the Socialist Party.
An echo of all of these niggas' critiques. Doe, Hotep. It's an echo of all of it every single time. So now Briggs, he's been pushing this socialism shit to black Americans only. That's who his audience is. He's inspired by Harrison. He's only talking to black Americans. But the communists in Russia are like, yo, that little Negro is actually, making waves. Let's get with him. We can use him as one of our cells. We can use him as one of our agents to, keep things the way it's supposed to be. Make sure that we're getting as many members from the black American community to sign up as possible. You dig what I'm saying? And that's how we're going to maintain power. That's how we're going to keep, building power. And Cyril, because I'm telling you, son, they be playing. They understand what they doing, but they not ready for the big leagues. They not ready for the big leagues. They think they ready for the big leagues, and then the big leagues call. Like, yo, you ready? You ready to be down with the CPUSA? You really ready to meet Lenin? You really ready to, put that work in for the Communist Party? And they like, oh shit, I'm in a room full of white dudes. And I understand that I've been pushing, racism in America as a means to be able to get what I want out of the black Americans. But like, these are some foreign white dudes. I don't even really know them. Hell, I barely know the white dudes in America. I'm foreign. And they get reluctant. They don't know if they want to do that. Because they done read Harrison, and Harrison said, yo, they racist over there. They kicked him out. So he was reluctant. He didn't even want to go full collaboration with the Communist Party.
By 1922, however, Briggs joined the CPUSA, seeing it as a vehicle for international revolution. The ABB gradually merged into the Communist Party, with the Crusaders ceasing publication in 1922 as Briggs shifted focus to communist organizing.
See? I'm telling y'all, yo, this is what happens. He had a black-owned newspaper, a magazine, a publication. I disagree with damn near probably everything that's in them pages, but he owned it. But what happens? They come and they say, yo, you either gonna get down or lay down. He got down. Right? He got down. So now, yo, instead of your movement, the New Negro movement, and your Crusader publication, yeah, all that's a wrap. Now you just merged with us. The African blood brotherhood and all of that, that's dead now. You are just a degular American communist. Welcome to the party. Don't worry about writing in your newspaper no more. Just push our agenda. We got plenty of newspapers. We're not worried about your newspapers, Jack. Just push ours. We got it. Do what we say. I just said that. That was what the pimping was. Just do what I say, and we'll be okay. That's what they was on. Pimping.
Briggs's entry into the CPUSA marked a significant evolution in his socialism. He embraced Lenin's thesis on national self-determination, arguing that black Americans constituted an oppressed nation within the nation entitled to autonomy or independence. His 1924 essay in The Liberator, titled The American Race Problem as a Class Problem, framed racism as a tool of capitalist divide and rule, urging black and white workers to unite against their common enemy.
Same old song. Same old song. This is the same playbook. So this is what I be saying about the importance of history. These socialists and these communists have been running the same playbook for over 100 years on black Americans. They've been running this same game on black Americans for over 100 years, Jack. And what I'm saying to y'all is that, yo, the tiger is not going to change its stripes, yo. The strategy is never going to work. 1 + 1 will never be 3, son. It will never be 3. You have to understand that the ancestors were bombarded with this propaganda 100 years before you were born. Before you were born, they've been propagandized to about the quote-unquote benefits of socialism and communism. It never bears fruit. All it does is take people time, attention, and money away from them for however long they push this stuff or believe this stuff. That's it. At worst, they'll take your life. It'll kill you. Or you'll die. It's not going to work. They've been saying the same thing. Oh, racism is just capitalism. Capitalism is just racism. It's all the same. The only reason why you're poor is because of capitalism and racism. Capitalism, racism. They just keep repeating that shit in different ways. Word salad it up. They add a bunch of different croutons and lettuce and onions and different things to the salad. But it's the same thing. You're poor because of capitalism, and capitalism is racism. That's it. That's it. That's been the through line through all of these people's propaganda. That's it. It's really not a hard concept at all. It's propaganda. It's supposed to be easily digestible. It's supposed to be easily digestible. It's supposed to be able to hear it one time and being like, oh, yeah, I get it now. Racism, capitalism. Racism, capitalism. Capitalism, racism. Oh, got it.
Briggs's radicalism also brought him into conflict with Marcus Garvey. Briggs rejected Garvey's black capitalism and back to Africa emphasis, favoring social revolution over immigration.
See? Every time. Now listen, me and Garvey disagree on the back to Africa thing too, but if you look further into it, he was only speaking to the people who wanted to go back to Africa or whatever. Like, you know, it is what it is. It's a choice. It wasn't like he was forcing all black Americans to do it. That's one. And then two, again, every single time that somebody's pushing something that actually could help people, and again, I have my disagreements with Garvey too, but you can't argue the fact that he did employ people as well. You dig what I'm saying? So he had, black capitalistic, techniques and strategies and stuff like that. And every single time, here comes the black socialist. No, we need a socialist revolution. That's all they want to do. They just want to call for revolution every single time. Niggas could have 100 different solutions. And the black socialist, the black communist is always going to be like, no, we need to just uproot it all. We need to dismantle everything. We need to destroy everything. We need to usher in a socialistic revolution every single time. I'm telling y'all, yo. They're so predictable when you study them. See, the thing is, I be telling y'all to study their ancestors, but not just the ones y'all agree with. Y'all need to understand. Now, Cyril Briggs ain't no ancestor of mine, but I'm pretty sure he got descendants here, so he counts. But what I'm trying to tell y'all need to study this part too. Look at the title of this damn article, fam. Garveyism defends oppression of Negroes. This is what Cyril Briggs was writing. I want y'all to understand how intentional these people were. They were not stumbling across this information. They were taking this information in and espousing it with absolutely no quarrels with their morals at all. No quarrels with their morals. They were fine with it. They were cool with this. Smearing names, calling for revolution every other day. This is the type of stuff that they be on. And I read the article. I had to see what he had to say. I'm reading him. I'm studying Cyril Briggs. I don't agree with a thing that he believes in politically or economically, but I got to at least hear him out to understand him. I have to at least study him to understand him. That's how that goes. And that's why I be trying to tell y'all, when y'all be sitting there talking about the big boogeyman of white supremacy, y'all don't even study that. Y'all don't study your enemy. All you do is react. That's it. Y'all are all reactionary. And that was another thing that Booker T. Washington was trying to let y'all know. He be around them. He really know what they think. He be understanding them. And he be trying to let people know, like, yo, stop doing that. You making it hot. Stop doing that. You are not moving right. It's not good strategy. You sitting there in the street calling for violence, calling for revolution. You have no gun. You don't even have enough guns. Where are you getting the food from? Where are you getting these resources from? I'm over here getting money from Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller. I'm putting them in the coffers of black schools and institutions. And here you niggas go in the middle of the street talking nonsense. Y'all messing things up. Y'all messing things up. Y'all niggas be trying to talk about getting on code and y'all be sabotaging your own progress. I'm working on getting $100,000 from Julius Rosenwald. I'm working on getting $50,000 from Andrew Carnegie so I can put in y'all coffers, and y'all sitting there talking about revolution. Y'all sitting there talking about uprising and all other nut shit like, yo, listen, dog, let me handle it. Go to work. Go to work. I got you, son. I got you. I understand that you are upset. I get it. Let me work my magic. I have a whole spy ring. Let me work my magic. I'm the advisor to 2 presidents. Let me work. Let me work. But that's the thing. When you lack strategy, you lack patience. That's the problem. When you don't know where you're going and you just walking wildly and just flying off of how you feel or somebody else's program that's not from where you from, that don't have your best interests at heart, they just want to serve their own purposes. You gonna look at a person like Booker T. Washington like, oh, he not moving fast enough. He not going hard enough. He not being as revolutionary as possible. And it's like, yo, dog, shut up. Shut up. I know what I'm doing. How much have you helped? What do y'all think? Like, honestly, we're looking at these people. How many people do you think Hubert Harrison employed? How many households do you think Hubert Harrison was responsible for as far as wages or livelihood or these people's next meal? How many people's houses do you think Cyril Briggs affected positively by espousing and just speaking versus a Booker T. Washington who literally has employees, who has a network of entrepreneurs throughout the entire country who employ black Americans, building wealth with black Americans, group economics, and all these other things. Who do you think is actually more beneficial to a black American household during the late 19th century and early 20th century? A nigga that's actually creating, building, employing, and doing all the things he need to do physically, or a motherfucker that's sitting there writing books, writing newspapers, writing magazines, and giving speeches about how things should be? This is what I be talking about. But y'all will rock with the latter because they make you feel a particular way. It make you feel good. It make you feel like a soldier. It make you feel like a revolutionary. It make you feel like you onto something fresh, something new, something groundbreaking. And all this is 100-year-old failed doctrine. That's the reason why you think it feels new, because every time it's tried, it's failed. So people throw it away after a while. So you get it and think that this is the first time in my generation that this type of ideas have been espoused, and they haven't been, because Peter H. Clark, he ran this game already. He learned. Hubert Harrison, he learned. They went through this already, but y'all are sitting here trying to think that you about to reinvent the communistic and the socialistic wheel. Y'all are out of your mind. You're not getting it done, Jack. It's not going to happen. Yeah, the Tuskegee machine was a spy ring that Booker T. Washington had created that had a bunch of men in the shadows infiltrating different groups that opposed him or who he thought might oppose him. Yeah. See, people don't know about that. People don't know that he had an entire espionage ring. You know what I'm saying? Y'all be talking about COINTELPRO, and y'all don't even know about the Tuskegee machine. Now, of course, COINTELPRO is more overreaching, and they have more resources because this is like the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But like, I'm trying to tell y'all something. Like, our ancestors was getting busy. Jason says, like, one of my mentors says, do what produces good, not what feels good. Facts. Facts. Facts, yo. Y'all gotta stop. Y'all gotta stop with the lies. Stop lying to yourself.
In The Crusader, Briggs accused Garvey of collaborating with white hate groups like the Ku Klux Klan, a charge based on Garvey's 1922 meeting with Klan leaders. Garvey retaliated by suing Briggs for libel and denouncing him as a white man due to his light complexion.
Yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah, Marcus Garvey sued him for libel and then called him a white man. Oh, man.
The CPUSA, seeking to undermine Garvey's mass appeal, backed Briggs, amplifying the feud until Garvey's deportation in 1927.
Shocker.
Cyril Briggs played a crucial role in integrating socialism into the black freedom struggle. Through the ABB, he pioneered a militant, race-conscious socialism that prefigured the CPUSA's outreach to black Americans.
Yo, that prefigured before the CPUSA got involved. Before the communist, at least in this generation, before the Communist Party of the United States got involved in black American politics, it was a black immigrant, okay, that introduced these concepts to black Americans and gained influence. And the person that influenced him was a fellow or another black immigrant. So when you got all of these people trying to tell you that you anti-black because you are conservative, pro-capital, Christian, etc., understand that they are getting this doctrine from black and white immigrants. Immigrants.
Lovett Huey Fort Whiteman. That's his name. I'm not making it up. His last name is Whiteman.
Yo, dead ass. No, for real. His last name was Whiteman. Not gonna hold you. Whiteman. Whiteman. You can say Whiteman, but it's Whiteman. That's his name. That's his last name. Hell of a name. Hell of a name.
Lovett Huey Fort Whiteman was a pioneering figure in the history of socialism and black radicalism in America, recognized as the first American-born black member of the CPUSA and a key advocate for uniting racial and class struggles. His early radicalization came during a stint in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula around 1913, where he worked as an accounting clerk in the hemp industry amid the Mexican Revolution. This experience ignited his interest in revolutionary politics, and by 1917, he returned to the United States via Canada, adopting the alias Harry W. Fort to re-enter discreetly as a railroad dining car waiter.
Again, more foreign. This is what I'm talking about, son. These dudes go to another country or another country comes to them and being like, yo, this is the wave, son. And then here come the Negro being like, oh, let me bring this back to America, or let me establish this in America and push it further. Every single time some foreign stuff comes and it's like, oh, this is new and fresh. A bunch of Mexicans who was growing weed told me about the revolution and told me about socialism. Some Mexican weed farmers, bro. Mexican weed farmers told you about socialism and you wanted to bring it back to America. Are you shitting me, son? What are we doing? What are we doing, son? This is insane. Look at the influence, bro. Look at the material of the influence. And I'm not sitting here disparaging black immigrants, white immigrants, or Mexicans. What I am saying is that if you are a white immigrant, a black immigrant, or a Mexican in history that are pushing socialism on my ancestors, you are weird. Mind your business. You are not American. You are not from here. And nobody asked. Nobody asked. This is the problem. Nobody asked any of you. Not a single American asked your European ass about socialism. Nobody in America asked your Caribbean ass about socialism. Nobody asked a single Mexican weed farmer about socialism. Y'all just, like, leave us out of it, dog. Leave us out of it. Give me a break, son.
Back in New York, Fort Whiteman immersed himself in Harlem's radical scene during the New Negro era.
Of course.
He became acquainted with black socialists A. Philip Randolph and Chandler Owen, contributing theater reviews to their magazine, The Messenger.
So, again, it's not just the foreigners. I want to say these are both FBA right here. And they was pushing it. It's like, son. It's like I'm getting angry all over again, Mike. I'm trying to tell you.
He enrolled at the Rand School of Social Science, a Socialist Party of America institution where he met future radicals like Sen Katayama and Otto Hochschild.
Come on, look at them names, man. Look at them names. Ain't none of that American, man. I think this man is Japanese, son. This man is Japanese. You linking up with these dudes in socialist schools, bro. Like, what? What's his name? Otto Hochschild? Where are you from? That you know so much about American politics, bro. Like, come on, son. Give me a break.
Joining the SPA, he was influenced by the 1917 Russian Revolution and by 1919 shifted to the more militant Communist Labor Party of America. His outspoken advocacy of resistance to the United States landed him in jail under the Espionage Act, marking his break from reformism. In 1924, as a member of the Workers' Party of America, WPA, a CPUSA precursor, Fort Whiteman attended the Negro Sanhedrin Convention in Chicago, a gathering of 250 delegates focused on black working class needs. That year, he became the first black American to attend the Communist University of the Toilers of the East, or KUTV, in Moscow, training under the Communist International. His
Dog, hold on. Because we ain't even got to get into the weird hats yet. Son, this nigga went to a Russian school twice. So he went to a socialist school in America, linked up with more foreign communists, more foreign socialists. And then he's so lit, he's so enamored with it, he goes to Soviet Russia to get more education, more schooling, son. More of it. He can't get enough. Right. Talk to him, Vincent. Talk to him. Shaking my head, son. This is insane. Sammy says, I'm always arguing with my wife's Jamaican side of the family at cookouts regarding their socialist ideas while they brag about their success in capitalism. Facts, bro. I want y'all to know, bro. There is not a single socialist in America who thinks this can be done without capitalism. For real. They think they can. But every single thing that they need in order for their agenda to be pushed is capital, son. It is capital. It's not resources. It's not land. It's not any of that shit. It's not. It's capital, son. It is the money. They want money. They want money, bro. They want profit. That's why they buy the latest iPhone, bro. That's why they go shopping every week with their money. That's why they DoorDash more than they cook or grow food. They do not want socialism without capitalism. That is a fact. They willing to act like they are because they are in front of you. That is it. I don't know why they like to lie to their friends and family, but I'm telling you, when they get alone, that's when the capitalism jumps right out of them. That's when it jumps right out of them. I'm telling you, that's when they are in their home and they want that AC to turn on as soon as they walk in the house. That's when they want their shoes and all of that in their personal belongings to be exactly where they left them. They don't want to share any of that stuff. If they had walked into their home when a bunch of people was sitting in their living room using up all of their resources and all of that other stuff inside of their house, they would be like, oh, y'all all gotta go, y'all trespassing, this is mine. They wouldn't say, oh, this is ours and we're sharing and this is socialism and this is community, I'm so happy to give it. No, get out of my house, stop touching my things, these are all mine, mine, mine. That's how they giving it up. They turn into staunch capitalists as soon as they get home. But when they at the barbecue with you, even though everything at this barbecue was acquired via capitalism, they will sit there scarfing down their burgers, scarfing down their hot dogs and their glizzies and their corns on the cob and their beans and whatever else, while telling you, yo, we need to give all of this up for socialism, and then go home and be the most selfish people that they could possibly be when it comes to their own belongings. Insane.
In Moscow, training under the Communist International. His letters to Comintern leader Grigory Zinoviev critique Soviet portrayals of black Americans, revealing his early insistence on racial sensitivity within socialism.
Here we go again, y'all. Here we go again. The cycle continues. Black man gets wind of socialism. Black man adopts socialism. Black man starts to enjoy a little bit of the socialism. Black man faces racism in socialism. Black man speaks to the white socialists about it. Black man is dissatisfied with the white communist or the white socialist answer. Black man gets in trouble, disbanded, excommunicated, and all of this other stuff.
Time magazine later dubbed him the reddest of the blacks for his fervor. Returning to the U.S. in 1925, Fort Whiteman spearheaded the American Negro Labor Congress, or the ANLC, founded in Chicago with 500 delegates from unions and working class communities. Replacing Cyril Briggs's ABB, the ANLC aimed to organize black workers under a communist banner, targeting those overlooked by the NAACP in the Urban League.
Dog. All they keep doing is finding people who are slipping through cracks. That is it. That is the only reason why these people even have anybody to listen to them. Because they're going to the most desolate places, talking to the most helpless people. And I'm not talking about helpless in the sense that they are in such dire straits that they can't be helped. I'm talking about they can't be helped due to their own abilities or inabilities to want to be able to do right and do better for themselves. They are always focusing on people who are looking to the external for their solutions instead of the internal, and then finding other people who also think like them to work internally, because then we're going to create something that's going to help us help ourselves. So they just keep finding people who are desperate, keep finding people who are helpless, who believe that they're powerless, and then going to them and being like, yo, you would have more power if you were a socialist. You have more power if you abandon, or you see how the NAACP or the Urban League or the Marcus Garvey and the UNIA or Booker T. Washington or whoever I think by this time, Booker T. Washington died in 1915. This is after 1925, replacing the ABB with the ANLC. Anyway, when it comes to that, son, they are just finding people who are fucked up enough, sad enough, to be able to listen to what they have to say, have them become socialists and be pawns in the scheme. That is it. That is the relationship. That is how they're recruiting people. They are finding the most destitute people they can to be able to espouse this to.
Fort Whiteman, named its first national organizer, argued that socialism offered a path to dismantle both racial and economic oppression emphasizing black workers' revolutionary potential due to their disproportionate exploitation. His approach blended Marxist class analysis with a race-conscious strategy, often clashing with CPUSA leaders who prioritize class over race.
This is what I'm saying. So that's another thing that the black socialists do. The black socialists be like, all right, I'm going to put my little spin on it. We going to focus on black shit. We going to mix the socialism with black nationalism, or we're going to mix the socialism and the communism with black race consciousness, or we're going to mix the communism with black like, bro, no, it's not happening. What you need to do is get this capitalism and mix it with black nationalism and be able to look out for your fellow man through enterprising with your fellow man. That's how it's supposed to go. It's been the recipe for hundreds of years, but you keep trying to go against the grain because you think that makes you special in some way. You think that you're unique in not wanting to go with the flow, despite 50 million people, for the most part, are rocking with this. Because you think going with the flow means that you are being complacent in some level of oppression and all that. There go Glasgow right there. There we go. What's good, bro? Oh, yeah, you're going to enjoy this playback. You are definitely going to enjoy this playback. Sammy says, buying expensive oxtail, but postulating socialism. Man, listen. Insane. So, you'll be able to catch up, Glasgow. I had a good day of broadcasting. If you guys are into street fashion, my man Lade and I, we had a great conversation about the history of street fashion and all of that. That will be on the Patreon. So, yeah, man. Welcome. Get comfortable. Tell your friends. Make sure you retweeting this. Matter of fact, everybody under the sound of my voice right now, retweet my live tweet right now. Everybody. I need everybody, before we continue, I need y'all to retweet right now. Retweet the We Live tweet right now. I need everybody to retweet for your boy real quick. Get it out the way. We'll be able to get it right out the way. Retweet the link. All right. So yeah, let's keep it going.
At the 1925 Comintern meeting in Moscow, his speeches impressed the Central Committee, earning him a 2-year ethnology fellowship at Moscow University. By 1927, he settled permanently in the Soviet Union with his Russian Jewish wife Marina, a chemist, joining a small black expatriate community in Moscow. At the 1928 Sixth Comintern Congress, he pushed for the CPUSA to prioritize black recruitment in the American South, arguing racism was as critical as class in fueling black plight, a stance that some Marxist purists deemed heretical. This position, coupled with his praise for Nikolai Bukharin and Karl Radek, later accused of Trotskyism, strained his party relations. By 1933,
so just so we are clear, that we're all on the same page, he moved to Russia, got a Russian Jewish wife, and lived among a bunch of other Negroes who moved from America, I would have to assume, to live in Soviet Russia, bro. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine leaving the comforts of your own country, to live in Soviet Russia, bro, in the early 20th century? Like, what, son? What? Why would you want to do that? What about this area? This is what I'm talking about when it comes to propaganda, son. I don't get it. You live in a small enclave that is nothing but black people in it, and because you got one white wife, you think you are living in an integrated society that's altogether different from America. Is that what I'm getting from this, fam? You genuinely think this is better than the United States of America right now? Okay. Enjoy.
Seeking to return to the U.S., he wrote to the CPUSA, but Soviet authorities intercepted the request, marking him as suspect. In 1935, a Comintern committee, including Earl Browder and James Ford, investigated him for, quote, misleading Negro comrades, reflecting tensions over his race-focused socialism. In
So this is what I'm. Hold on. Go ahead. Go ahead, though. Go ahead and speak. Go ahead and finish.
In 1936, after criticizing Langston Hughes's The Way of White Folks as counter-revolutionary at a Moscow event, a view a CPUSA lawyer escalated, Soviet suspicions deepened. In spring of 1937, he vanished from Moscow. His wife told Homer Smith he was gone, signaling danger. On July 1st, 1937, he was sentenced to 5 years internal exile in Alma-Ata, Kazakhstan for anti-Soviet agitation. There, he taught school and boxing, but on May 8, 1838, his sentence was harsher. 5 years hard labor in the northeast camps in Siberia's Kolyma region under Article 58, armed insurrection and espionage. In the brutal gulag, where temperatures plunged to 60 below, Fort Whiteman, unable to meet labor quotas, faced beatings that knocked out his teeth and reduced rations. He died on January 13, 1939 at age 49, officially of weakening of cardiac activity, likely starvation or malnutrition.
And you mean to tell me that working in a factory in the United States is worse than that? This is what I'm talking about. See, this is on the ground communism. This is what really goes down in communism. So y'all get that fluff. Y'all get that garbage. Y'all get ideology. Y'all get rhetoric. But this is what a black man actually went through under a communistic regime. He spoke too much about black people. Let's get that first. That was the first crime. He spoke too much about black liberation. He spoke too much about what black people need under the auspices of communism. And communists was tired of hearing that. That was annoying as hell. We are tired of hearing you Negroes talk about Negroes. We told you that racism didn't exist because we don't care about your race. Not that we cared, about solving or helping racism. We just genuinely don't care at all about your race. So technically, we didn't lie to you. We don't care about racism because we don't care about you. We don't care about your race. We only care about communism. You are a cog in the machine. You're just a black cog, pause, in the machine. That's it. So when it comes down to you working here, you got a Russian wife, all of that, boom, but you're separated in the black enclave of expatriates, a bunch of other dumb niggas that came here to work for us instead of working for your own country, fighting for freedoms and all this other stuff and rights in your country. You come over here thinking that we about to roll out the red carpet. You think that, then you're wrong. Then you get to talking about black people. We don't like that. Then you get to complaining about people in the party to other people in the party. We don't like that because now you sowing seeds of dissent, and that's what we do. And you can't out infiltrate an infiltrator. You can't out propagandist. This is what we do. We got several different layers and levels of espionage going on right now. So you thinking you going behind one person's back and talking about the party and thinking it's not going to get back to me or get back to him? Then, not only that, how about this? We got black people on our side who think you bugging too. Now what? Now we got black people on our side saying that you are doing too much talking about black this, black that. You doing too much. So you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to exile you first. But you know what? Because you a black American man and you got ingenuity, you teaching boxing and shit. Nah, this is not harsh enough of a punishment for us thinking that you are trying to break up the Communist Party on some black shit. So, how about this? How about 5 years hard labor in the gulag, which is just a death sentence. They don't have to give life in the gulag because promise you, 5 years is more than enough. You're not making it. I doubt any of these men made it. I doubt any of these men made it to old age. I doubt any of these men died of natural causes. I think all of these men died of starvation, malnutrition, abuse, etc., etc. So they sent him to the gulag. Look at this. That's snow, fam. That is snow. They're in a frozen tundra, working to the bone. And if you didn't produce your quota for the day, you got your teeth kicked out, son. Now, I understand that you don't really like working at the factory and all of that stuff in America, but I don't know too many foremen. I don't know too many managers of a factory in America kicking your teeth out if you didn't produce enough for the day. I don't remember that. I study a lot of history. I don't remember that. I don't remember the foreman kicking your teeth out because you didn't make enough headlights. You didn't make enough bottles. But that's what they was doing in Soviet Russia under communism. The communism that you said was going to save Black America, and it can't even save you. It can't even save you. Now you in a gulag, dying of starvation and being worked to death because you swore up and down communism was the way to go. Bugged out. Robert Robinson, another Black expatriate, later learned from a fellow prisoner that 4 white men died a broken man. A broken man. Throughout this video, you're going to learn about Black Americans who traveled to Soviet Russia during the early 20th century. For instance, Harry Haywood, who was a leading Black communist theorist and organizer, attended KUTV in Moscow with 4 white men. He studied Lenin's theories on national self-determination, which he later adapted to the Black American context. Haywood's defining contribution came at the same 6th Comintern Congress in 1928, where he co-authored the Black Belt thesis with Soviet theorist Dmitry Manusky. This resolution declared Black Americans in the U.S. South, concentrated in the Black Belt region from Virginia to Louisiana, an oppressed nation with a right to self-determination up to and including secession. This essentially meant this area will be a Black nation within the United States. So, go back just a second. So, this idea sounds good. And I ain't gonna lie, contemporarily in the 21st century, over the past, I want to say decade and some change, I have seen different proposals that's pretty much this, just maybe without the communistic undertones and whatnot. Basically having an area for Black Americans to use as like a headquarters for us. Now, the reason why the South makes the most sense strategically is because 90% of Black Americans historically came from here. I think even now it's like 51 or 55% of Black Americans still live in the South. So the majority of Black Americans still live in the South. There's strength in numbers and, you know, all of these other great things. When you attach vote communist at the bottom of this poster, I can show you. Hold on, let me just move it up a little bit. Concentrated in the Black Belt. Hold on. Sorry. When you see vote communism in the thing, now it's like, oh, now you're an enemy to the country. You dig what I'm saying? So, yeah, I understand the Black Belt thesis. I read it. I understand it. My entire endeavor, before I even say my entire endeavor, the things that I disagree with is that the communistic undertones. You can have all of this and still have private ownership rights. You can still have all of this stuff and still practice capitalism. Like, you do not have to be a communist or a socialist to be able to make a concerted effort to move a particular place. The Great Migration happened already, where millions of Black Americans moved, and it had nothing to do with communism. It had everything to do with economic opportunity under capitalism. Go figure. Go figure. Belt region from Virginia to Louisiana, an oppressed nation with a right to self-determination up to and including secession. This essentially meant this area will be a Black nation within the United States.
The resolution addressing the Negro question criticized racial prejudice within the American Communist Party.
Duh.
Recognized that the proposed Black Belt Republic would include white residents and emphasized the need to unionize agricultural workers who constituted 3/4 of the black population in the southern region. Joseph Stalin, the Soviet leader, endorsed the concept of the Black Belt Republic as a potential resolution to racial issues in the United States. He prioritized black self-determination within the international communist movement and instructed the American Communist Party to purge members considered racist.
All propaganda, if you ask me. All of it. Every last bit of it. I do not believe Stalin was actually that, like, endearing to black people. You won't let you can't convince me. There's no way that you say that and then Fort White Man dies the way he does in the gulags on trumped up charges. Don't believe you. And this is the thing. You think I'm about to preach about not getting caught up in the pimping and then get caught up in the pimping myself? No, sir. That's pimping. That's pimping. You're trying to pimp me. It's not happening. Oh, yeah, no. Totally. Well, I'm totally against racism and shit like that. I'm totally against that, yo. Anybody who's caught being a racist from now on, anybody's caught being a racist from now on in my party, we're expelling you from the Communist Party. You honestly think that I think that Stalin gave a fuck about black Americans that much or black people that much to expel his own communist comrades and brethren for your black ass? You bugging. Don't make me laugh.
However, Stalin's support for the Black Belt Republic and black self-determination sparked significant debate among communists. Numerous black leaders and party members questioned the feasibility and advantages of such a republic, particularly as black Americans were migrating to northern urban centers for industrial employment opportunities, which we all know as the Great Migration, something we've covered extensively on this channel.
Correct.
Drawing on Lenin's framework for colonized peoples, Haywood argued that centuries of slavery, sharecropping, and Jim Crow have forged a distinct black national identity tied to land and culture, not just class. The thesis, adopted by the CPUSA, shifted its approach, prioritizing black recruitment and framing racism as central to capitalist exploitation.
See? Told you. The same playbook, yo. The same exact playbook. It does not matter who they are. They are going to do the same thing. In order to recruit black people, you got to do the capitalism, racism game every single time. I'm not about to rant again because that'll be the third or fourth time that I've done it, but this is the playbook.
However, tensions arose within the CPUSA. The 1939 Nazi-Soviet Pact alienated some black communists, and by 1944, party leader Earl Browder diluted the black belt thesis, favoring integration over self-determination to align with wartime unity. Haywood fiercely opposed this revisionism, seeing it as a betrayal of black liberation. In 1948, he published his book, Negro Liberation, reiterating his thesis and critiquing Browder's right opportunism, which led to his suspension from the CPUSA's National Committee.
What a shocker! What a shocker! Another black man suspended from the communists. Another one. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that the minute this nigga started talking that black stuff inside the socialist and inside the communist circles, that he was going to eventually be expelled, suspended from the party? Who saw this coming? Not me. I didn't see it coming. This is a shocker. Didn't see this coming at all, chat. Didn't see it coming at all. Who knew? Who knew this would happen?
He was later expelled from the party completely. Benjamin J. Davis Jr. was a prominent black communist, lawyer, and political activist. Davis was born into a relatively affluent black American family. His father, Benjamin J. Davis Sr., was a successful newspaper publisher of the Atlanta Independent, a newspaper that we mentioned in the Tuskegee Machine video, and a figure in Booker T. Washington's orbit, while his mother, Willa, instilled education and resilience.
So, Benjamin, he one of them, what do they call them, limousine socialists or whatever? He don't even come from poverty. His father specifically is a capitalist, a successful one. A successful capitalist. He come from a household that is about respectability, conservatism, capitalism, all of the things that historically black Americans have been about. And he still became a socialist, likely to rebel. Little rebels out here. I'm socialist. I'm socialist. Sammy says this is essentially what they did to Dr. Cornel West when he sought to prioritize black issues within the Democrat Party. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. It happens, man. It happens every time. I would not be surprised about that, Sam.
His legal skills shown in cases like the 1935 Herndon appeal, which reached the U.S. Supreme Court, overturning Georgia's insurrection law in 1937, a landmark victory against racist repression.
All right, I'll give him that. That he did do, like, because what his line of work was, he was a lawyer. So, he worked in law and all of that stuff. So, in him doing like insurrections and all of that stuff, he fought, and that allowed black Americans to be able to get out of jail or not be held at that point as being insurrectionists. Like that, it was basically saying like, yo, y'all are overreacting to this. They are not actually causing an insurrection. They're just protesting or whatever it is. So I'll give him that.
In Harlem, Davis aligned with the New Negro movement as well, collaborating with radicals like Claude McKay and Cyril Briggs. He edited the Negro Liberator in 1935, amplifying communist outreach to black communities, and joined the National Negro Congress, or the NNC, pushing its leftward turn under A. Philip Randolph.
Frederick wasn't no damn socialist. Shouldn't me? He was not no socialist at all.
He also fused Marxist class analysis with a race-conscious strategy, arguing that black oppression was a linchpin of American capitalism. Davis's prominence grew in wartime Harlem. In 1943, he ran for New York City Council on the communist ticket to replace Adam Clayton Powell Jr., who had moved to Congress. Backed by the CPUSA's wartime popularity and Harlem's leftist voters, Davis won, becoming one of the first black communists elected to public office in the United States. He was re-elected in 1945 and served until 1949, advocating control, public housing, and anti-discrimination laws.
Yeah, see? Bunch of welfare. Bunch of state-owned, state-ran, state-controlled, state, the government, to control your livelihood. Rent control. Insane. Nuts. Thomas Sowell had put me on the rent control. How that kills the real estate industry in any given town or city, state, or whatever. It's no incentive for them to keep building. For what? If it's going to, if the cost of me building this house is not, I'm not gonna be able to make my money back because I can't charge what I need to charge, then what is the point of me building anything? That's just idiotic.
As I was doing research for this section of the video, one thing became increasingly clear to me. European and American Marxists, socialists, and communists used the economic and political issues of black Americans to further their own agendas. They were able to frame class and race struggles of America as a direct and sole byproduct of capitalism. They were able to achieve this largely due to the black Caribbean and black American communists gaining more influence in black American politics. The idea was that the United States should simply adopt socialist and communist values, and the race and class struggles would cease to exist.
Just magically disappear. All we got to do is become, all of us just need to become socialists, and the white people in this country will no longer feel this way about us. The racism will magically disappear. It will go away. It will drift off into the ether because we're all socialists now. I don't understand how people even believe this. I wish I had a time machine. See, y'all be talking about going back in time to win the lottery or buy Bitcoin, which I would do, obviously. But I'm going back to argue. I'm not even going to spoil the future for them. I'm just going to argue with them with historical context. Like, yo, son, explain again how racism will be eradicated if we become socialist. I just want to hear the actual plan. How does that work? And also, how am I supposed to get how do I get rich? How do I enrich myself and my family and my community under socialism as well? If you can just answer these questions, because I know everybody in here is super hype. I know everybody in here is getting hyped because you're using words like proletariat and shit. But I genuinely just want to know, what are the practical steps of how we first adopt socialism, second, how that socialism is going to help us, and third, what are the repercussions and consequences or the pros and cons of your ideology? If you can just speak into the microphone, sir, that would be great. I just want you to answer me straight up and down. And I'm just going to argue with him like, well, no, that doesn't make any sense, actually. Because he's going to ask me, shit like, you understand what I'm saying now, son? No, actually, I don't. Then none of this makes sense. And here's why. Historically, because we're not going to talk about the future. Historically, the ancestors, our grandparents and our parents, they were able to amass wealth. They were able to gain literacy. They were able to gain property and all of these other things through capitalism. I don't know if you know this, but there's black towns all throughout the South currently right now as we speak. We can go visit Boley, Oklahoma, and ask them how they feel about socialism and how they feel about communism. There are actual places right now that are predominantly black, that is black owned. The infrastructure is black. The politicians are black. The bank is black. The school, the grocery store, and everything else in between is black. You can just go there and ask them how they feel about capitalism versus socialism versus communism. We can go do that right now. We can all hop on a train and go to Oklahoma. We can all get on the bus right now and go to Oklahoma and see how they feel about your message. Because it seems like you're only focusing on New Yorkers, people in Pennsylvania, people in Ohio and in Michigan. It seems like you are not really getting to the South, but you're speaking for the South. Because again, 90% of these people, as far as black Americans are concerned, live down south. See thing right here? This dude, I rock with him. See, he's skeptical. You can tell. See, his man's behind him. He too bright-eyed. You feel me? But my man right here, that look like a young Marcus Houston, he's literally side-eyeing. He's side-eyeing. Like, yo, son, like, I don't know. My daddy a blacksmith. My daddy own a business. My mama a seamstress. Yeah. I don't know about this. See, I'm him. This is me right here. You can just see the skepticism on his face. He don't really believe it. You don't really believe it? Nah, son. Nah.
Admittedly, there were some moments where the SLP or the CPUSA would support a black American program, elect.
Oh, son. They got Carl Marx down here like he Jesus Christ. They got him down here like he Jesus. Man, look at these people, man. Focusing on their race, just look at their faces. Do you think these people actually gave a damn about your plight? Screw their race. Just look at their facial expressions. Do you think these people really gave a damn about what was going on in black America? Honestly. Come on, son.
Election, initiative, or court case. However, whenever black American communists tried to directly center themselves in the movement or call out the racism within their circles, they were turned against and expelled. Some were even killed. Many of these black communists would later denounce or move away from the party.
Look at them. Look at these people. Look at them. Black socialists with a Russian banner behind them. I forgot what the context of this was. But I know it was some type of an event or something like that. But this is nuts, bro. Man, it's almost 12 o'clock, y'all. I don't think we're going to finish the video. We're not going to finish it. Oh man, I'm sorry, y'all. It's all good. We're gonna rock out till midnight. And after that, I'm going to bed.
A shining example of this would be Manning Johnson.
So we're gonna end it right here. So now the first half of the video, as you can see, was the rise of black socialism, black communism. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about Juneteenth. Obviously, we're going to cover Juneteenth because tomorrow is Juneteenth. But we are going to get into the Manning Johnsons and the anti-communist movement amongst black Americans. We have to. So y'all learned. Now, I'm not going to lie. I had my narrative on top of it. But you are free to watch this video on your own. Go to the Patreon, patreon.com/Hotep History, patreon.com/Hotep History. Once again, patreon.com/Hotep History. You'll be able to watch this video in full tonight, right now, and be able to walk away with whatever you want to walk away with as far as the information. You dig what I'm saying? But I also want y'all to understand that I try to, like I said in the intro of this video, I want to be as objective as possible. I talked about successes and achievements within socialism, but I also kept it funky and talked about the failures. I talked about the rise of it within America, the rise of it within specifically black America. You dig what I'm saying? I'm calling a fair game. Period. I want everybody to understand this. But I'm telling you, Manning Johnson, we're going to get to it. Because his book is a part of the book club too. You dig what I'm saying? So, I thank y'all for coming through. I really do. I'm getting more and more comfortable. I'm getting more and more acclimated. As you can see, my setup is still amateur. I don't have a bunch of like Men of Order logos and Hotep Nation logos. Yeah, I need y'all help. I have no idea how to design this live stream. I did this much just to be somewhat presentable on stream, but I still have not fully fleshed out the way I want my my setup to look like. I obviously want a little bit more color. I obviously want, you know, better angles on cam and stuff like that. So, you know, if you guys have any, you know, suggestions or something like that, let me know in the comments. Also, I appreciate you guys. A lot of y'all don't understand, but this is, you know, my first 25 videos. You dig what I'm saying? Like these are very, very new. Very, very new. My man Rashad, shout out to my boy Rashad. He's at over 100 daily episodes on Spaces, which is essentially the same thing, just audio. Just imagine if this didn't have a visual component to it. You dig what I'm saying? And I want to add playback to this. So I'm streaming on 3 different places right now. I'm streaming on YouTube, Kick, and Twitch, and I want to add playback to that. You dig what I'm saying? But yeah, going 3 and 4 hours, that's going to be my average. I like to be able to talk and you know, flesh out my ideas and all that. So, of course, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate it. So let's go through the chat. Big Vincent, been here since day one. Shout out. Big Sammy, day one. NW, you seem new here. I don't remember seeing you, but welcome. My youngin' Mike, thank you for coming through, brother. I appreciate you coming through, catching these lessons. Who else we got in here? Jason, of course. Shout out to him. The Watcher, my man. Thank you. Thank you for coming through. Did Scruggs come through tonight, y'all? I don't know if Scruggs came through. But my man Memphis, thank you for coming through. Scruggs was the first one to comment. So shout out to Scruggs. My day ones. You feel me? Shout out to y'all, man. I really do appreciate y'all rocking with me on these streams. I'm not going to lie. I do not do much planning. I am going to start doing a little bit more planning. I'll be honest with y'all. I'll be transparent with y'all. I don't really like my performance yesterday. My performance starting the week, I feel like it was a little weak. I feel like I was kind of a little bit all over the place. I was kind of drifting and all that other stuff. I really didn't have, a concise message yesterday. But today I feel like we did well. I'm proud of how tonight, resulted. The numbers got as high as like 25 people in here at one time. So we getting up there, y'all. Consistency is key. You know that. I know by this time next month, this time next year, I have hundreds of people in here. I'm not tripping. I'm enjoying the ride. If anybody wants to help me clip these streams up, please DM me at Hotep Dubes on Twitter. Again, any design type of suggestions on how to get this stuff, I'm using OBS like most people. So if you guys have any like tutorials or any suggestions that are that you know to spruce my visualizations up and all of that, please please feel free to DM me. My DMs are always open. I appreciate you guys coming through. We will be back again tomorrow. At 8 o'clock p.m. We're going to be rocking to about midnight again. I might even start a little bit earlier tomorrow. Because I started, like today, I started really at 4:30, quote unquote, streaming. I had an audio interview with my man Lade that started at 4:30. That went to, went for 3.5 hours. I took a little smoke break, and then I got right on stream at 8 o'clock, and we've been rocking. So that was another 4 hours. So like I said, I appreciate y'all coming through, man. We're going to have a lot more to talk about, but we do got to do Clifton, of course. Clifton, thank you for coming through. Thank you. We just got to, we got to do some housekeeping when it comes to the ancestors, when it comes to Black American history. If you came here late, you'll be able to go back and listen to what I was saying as far as respecting the ancestors, studying the ancestors. There was some good gems in tonight's episode. I'm really happy about the way it came out. When I see laughs and crying emojis in the chat, that means, I was doing my thing. When I see the chat, moving and all of that other stuff and participating, that means that, I'm keeping you guys engaged. So I appreciate you guys for coming through. Yeah, everyone keep retweeting and share the stream. That's a fact, y'all. Keep looking out. Keep looking out. So, yeah, man, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night. And as always, man, Hotep and Bill.